Hello. Oh God. Now this food I'm eating, it's not it's not tip top as far as health. I'd rather be eating coconut oil that is like natural coconut oil that smell like coconut. But this coconut oil is coconut oil, so it's not the worst coconut oil. It's better than the other oils. It's better than canola oil and vegetable oil. But it's not the ideal coconut oil that is like organic and like good all the way around. You know, my looks like to change. Like yesterday, yesterday when I was on camera, it's like my face was thinner, and I think when I'm on my period, for some reason, I think I look cuter on my period. When I'm about to get off my period, my looks start to go back to being like not as cute. I don't know what that's about. I'm sure it's a hormonal thing. I'm sure it is. It still sucks. So uh, I hate when I'm sitting and I don't have a topic, like a topic right away to talk about, like a fun topic. This fan is like it's not coming right. Okay. So I've noticed that I'm my healing is really like imminent. Like really good healing is coming through for me right now, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. But I suffer from a kind of a I suffer from okay why I suffer from this kind of a impatience thing. It's like I'm working with the law of attraction, right? To try to get myself in a place of feeling like I'm manifesting and to manifest what it is I want. And it feels good because I'm feeling lighter on my feet. I'm feeling lighter in general, and I'm feeling more positive, more optimistic, more allowing. All of these things. But when I look at my numbers, they seem to be going down. Like when I come on here, I mean, the most I get is like two people watching my live. And then on Instagram, my numbers are going down as far as who is liking my posts, who's who's liking my posts. Uh, the likes are going down, the comments are going down, the views seem to be going down. The views are kind of fluctuating. But like last week, I think, or the week before, maybe, I posted a couple of things and I had a lot of response and a lot of engagement. A lot compared to what I used to get and what I'm used to getting. Now, now I'm just in a state of I don't understand why it's like not why does it seems like it's going down instead of going up if I'm trying to work with law of attraction. And the only thing I could come up with is that I need to that thing that I've been talking about my whole time on YouTube since I've been on here that I think I need to do to I mean show people who I really am. Um, I don't know why social media doesn't count for me showing people who I really am. Um, but I've been doing a lot of um, tapping into um, like writing stuff I used to write, knowledge I used to know I used to write. Today I'm gonna try to sit and read. Today I'll try to sit and read and see if reading if this reading is going to cause my vibration to go up as far as more clarity. I don't understand why I put when I put my arms up, it becomes brighter in here. I don't know what kind of a reflection issue this is. I don't get it. Whatever. And so yeah, I'm tapping into more reading, more writing. I fall off every now and then because I get distracted because of feeling like I'm never gonna be able to do it. I'm never gonna be. Whenever I get a writer's block, or whenever I go into a state of feeling like I don't remember something I used to know, something I used to have clarity on, I don't have the clarity anymore. I get discouraged and then I go into a kind of addiction, indulging in a certain thing that um, it counts as an addiction, right? I go into that space, in that headspace, and I'm like, um, why can't it just be consistent? It could be that I need to show people who I really am, or I'm going through what I'm going through because I believe I have to. I believe and I fear them seeing who I really am. So that's the thing. Yesterday, I set the intention to pretty much just in my patois accent dialect thing, because since people are having a problem with it, to speak in a certain tone that I feel like will bring out my higher self through it. I wrote down some topics. I have a topic, but I'm not super inspired towards any particular topic. One topic I'm inspired about, I'm afraid of speaking here. Maybe I'll just sit here until I get a topic. Last time I tried to or better I do it this way.
Through my online store alone, we've sold over $500,000 worth of spices. That's so crazy. I went from selling to my The Great 5D shift has begun. Welcome to an adventure of a lifetime. On 3D Earth, we have now.
This is from Higher Self. The channel is called Higher Self. Um, the Great 5D shift has begun. Today posted. So I just want to put that out there so that if they find it on my channel, that I'm not claiming it to be mine. I don't know if I'll still could get in trouble, but I guess I could erase it after you know.
Cross the Rubicon into unknown territory, transitioning into a fifth dimensional frequency existence. Accelerating climate changes, the destabilization of society, the sixth mass extinction are well underway with species disappearing at a phenomenal rate. Don't fear this transition. It's all a cycle. I know the fight or flight mechanism that has been unkindly downloaded into our DNA is kicking in for some of you. Your mind reacts forming judgments. Will I be hurt? Will I die? And it's understandable. From the moment you were born, you embarked on your pathway of passing on. It's your transition. Embrace it and feel into the fear. It's always a magical, spiritual path through the doorway to the other side. If you really think about it, it's breathtaking. Remember, you have nothing to lose. Loss is all illusion. Loss is not possible to you because everything is contained within. It's only the mind that diminishes that feeling of connection. We are emotional beings. And we cannot ever deviate from being emotional beings, because then our consciousness will never be fully taken control of as long as we feel emotion. So many are resistant to change, which is understandable because the ego likes predictability. It likes the soft comforts that appeases and pacifies it. But, in a universe of constant change, change is the only constant. This change is making many resistant to the busting through of the old foundations of this reality. Follow the current because you are going to witness some spectacular and unnerving sights. Meaning, you're going to start seeing reality for what it really is. As you break through the limitations of this third dimensional reality, your restraints are leaving. It's a very freeing feeling. Remember, authentic creation follows authentic expression. Meaning, if you're in the flow of these new frequencies, not resisting the change, everything you need will come your way. That's how law of attraction works. It also works vice versa. You must unravel your allegiance to the matrix, which is beginning to steadily break itself apart. These are truly phenomenal times, but only if you embrace them. Fear is your worst enemy and is all an illusion. Let it go.
But the bee sounds. Oh, the topic of ghosts came about the other day at my sister's house. And No, yeah. I just remember something. This one person, spiritual teacher, said that you cannot manifest without commitment, and I hope that's what I need more than anything else. And I don't have to like I have to show a certain side of myself, bring out a certain side of myself in front of my family, and I can bring it out here. I'm confident in my ability to bring it out here because right now what I'm showing now is a layer of it.
Wow. Oh, yeah. This is how that's cool. Ooh. Now, that's unfortunate. It's the end of it. No. Stuck on my hair. All right, I see. But yeah, that's scary. But you, ooh, I'm getting red.
So one of the
That's
photos.
stressful.
Everything I want is on its way to me. Everything I need is already within me. Yes. Yes. That's a good thing. I didn't encounter to me for them. Or anyone. Uh, I'm trying to understand if you're in a good place as far as your manifesting journey, why does it seem like manifestations are going down instead of up? Why isn't like a gradual or incremental climb upwards instead of backwards? Okay, so I think it was last week, or maybe when was maybe it was late the week before. The topic of ghosts came up, and we were just telling what seemed like ghost stories or spirit stories to us, by my sister's house. Now, the story I told, I don't know if it was a ghost or what it was, but it was some paranormal thing that was going on in the room that I was in this very house when I was a child. For y'all, the people who don't know, I'm in my childhood home right now. But instead of me explaining the phenomena of ghosts from my higher self expert point of view, I ended up just telling the ghost story and falling into the dissociative state of not being able to speak the way I done from my higher self. But I feel like I could do this here and now. And what a ghost is now, I explained in one of my recent lives about the system that is holding the universe together, the photoreflective system of what is known as the law of attraction, electromagnetism, is quantum reality. And I'm saying that, the universe itself and the stuff that hold it together, it's a photoreflective energy, meaning whatever is happening is happening now in a continuous form way going forward. And why is that photoreflective? Is that every single moment is almost like a picture being taken of the moment, but not a still picture, like a ongoing picture of every single moment. Every single moment, there's not one moment that is not being recorded, and so that's why I call it photoreflective. Um, Maybe it's not the best term for it, but it I like saying it that way because it's a photo motion image of every single moment going forward. And this is one reason why time traveling can be possible and is possible. I mean, we time travel every day when we remember things. It's time traveling. It's just that we have not taken our physical body in what they call a Merkaba or whatever people time our time machine to go back. But whenever you're having a memory, it's a time travel. If you close your eyes and the memory, you could bring out the memory and visualize it as vividly as possible, and it is time traveling. So we've all time traveled. Um, but how does this system respond to ghosts or the phenomena of ghosts and why ghost is a thing that exists? Um, from what I could tell you right now, because this it's a we live in a photoreflective quantum reality. Every thought of a person that existed, and every perception of the person is a thought, and your thought is, and every thought that is um, that people have of a certain person, every thought that has been thought of a person is still existing because it's a photoreflective quantum reality. And so the perception of a person when they die is going to stay, can stay in a certain area, in a certain building, in a certain, in an apartment, in a house, in a graveyard, whatever. Because if that person died violently or not, if they died feeling like they had unfinished business, the perception of them, uh, that of them uh, staying here, of the perception of themselves staying here, is its own thought body, or what people would call a thought form. People in the New Age community would call it thought form. Becomes its own thought body because the people, when people die without really fully, sometimes it doesn't have to be fully, without getting close to fulfilling their purpose. And sometimes when people die violently, that's what happened. It's like it was a sudden death. They didn't live a long life, living out life a certain way, and so when if they die violently, you know, then it's like because they didn't get to live out their life, and that sudden death, it caused the intention of them not finishing life to cause it to feel as though it has an unfinished business. And so that perception of them, and I'm not saying it's only violent death or only sudden death. It could be an unsudden death. It could be an old person on their deathbed that is still in the house because they too can have unfinished business. Um, so when when that person dies, that part of them that had unfinished business, which is their physical identity self for this lifetime, which is what I call, which I feel like a ghost is the ego body. Okay, the ghost is the ego body, or is an aspect of the ego body. The ego body is the same thing as the ego in body form, and the reason why that is because the ego is the aspect of yourself that is all about identity, identity with the physical self in this life, the temporary physical self, not the soul itself. So that perception of that person's self it had unfinished business, and so the unfinished business aspect of it, it creates an energy that is so powerful, that is so impactful, because everything is energy, and the intention of doing whatever they needed to do in this life was its own energy, and that is feeding into the body because it's unfinished business. So the unfinished business aspect is still represents, and is still a embodiment of what they came on this earth to do. So that in itself it's such a potent energy because the intention is so potent. And so that energy in itself has such a strong um, energy, electrical magnetic pull to it, that it's so powerful that it's being fed with so much energy, so much electromagnetic energy, because it's intention energy of staying into this life. So if you had unfinished business, you're still in this life. It's like you don't know that you're dead. And even if you know that you're dead, you have unfinished business, you're staying. So that intention is its own energy, and because it's such a strong intention of staying in this life, it's being fed with so much energy, so much power, so much electromagnetic energy, that it's almost like that embodiment of what it is, of the person itself, is so powerful that it's almost becoming like a tangible thing. It's not tangible per se. It's not physical per se, but I believe every spiritual thing and everything on the spiritual world is still physical in some way, in some perception of it. You could perceive it as being physical in some way. I don't believe non-physical exists, but that's another topic. If it could be its own topic. So that ghost. Hold on. I'm also going to touch on how to get rid of ghosts. So that energy is so powerful that it starts to penetrate this reality, because its intention is and its intention and its purpose is still here. And so that is taking the form of the person. And if people would see it, it would look like the person, because the person has left the perception of them here still. And whoever is going to see it is going to see it in the form of the person, and that is what a ghost is. And so this ghost could totally like mess with this reality. It could move objects. Um, it could do certain like paranormal activity. It could do it could carry out what looks like power or whatever to people. It could do certain things that people cannot do in this physical reality. A ghost and a demon is not the same thing, by the way. I just want to put that out there, because sometimes people have ghosts and they think it's demons. Sometimes people have demons and they think it's ghosts. They're not the same things. You have some ghosts that are more demonic ghosts than other ghosts. You have ghosts who are more friendly. You have ghosts who are somewhat friendly, some not friendly. But most of the time, ghosts, um, they might seem like they're not benevolent, depending on how they were when they were alive. Because even if you're not benevolent, you could have unfinished business and still be, should I say, even if you're benevolent, you could still have unfinished business, and in your ghost form, you're not like a terrible ghost. You're not evil or evil or just like an antagonistic kind of a ghost. So this is what really a ghost is. You know, it's penetrating this reality because the energy that is coming into it is being fed with a very strong energy based on its intention, because a strong energy of leaving behind what it was, as in having unfinished business. the unfinished business intention is so powerful that it's being fed with so much energy, so much um yeah, so much energy that it can penetrate this reality. Um, so a ghost is the ego body. It's an ego body because it represents the physical aspect of the physical self and what it represented in its intention and purpose for this life. So it's all about identity. What it identified as in this life, it's still holding that perception or that perspective. So it's the ego body or aspects of the ego body um, that that becomes a ghost. As far as how to get rid of a ghost, I say if you get into a house and there's a ghost there, if the ghost is not like a poltergeist type thing that is violent or is not trying to hurt anyone, me personally, I would just let the ghost be. But if you're most of the times, if there's a ghost there and you know there's a ghost there, 9 times out of 10, this ghost may not have good intention because it's making itself be known, which means it's trying to be territorial, which means in a way it doesn't really want you there, which means in a way it's probably want to scare you away. Um, and if it's a ghost that doesn't know it's dead, it definitely is going to try to get you out because it's going to be wondering why are you here when I'm here. It's almost there was this movie with Nicole Kidman. I think it was called The Others, and I didn't see the movie. I just saw that a trailer or somebody explained what it was really about. It's like she was a ghost, and I think her children in the house was a ghost, and people moved into the house, and she thought the people were ghosts. They thought the people were ghosts when it's really them who was the ghost. That I gotta see that movie. Now I'm thinking I have to see it. So when you're dealing with in a situation where a ghost wants itself to be known, it's probably does not want you there, which means it doesn't necessarily have good intentions. And if the intentions are not really good but not really bad either, that's a thing too. Um, or sometimes the ghost knows it's dead and it feels helpless and it wants you to help it to move on. It might want to let itself be known in that sense too. But like I said, if it's not like violent, I would personally just allow it to be. I would actually welcome it into my space and talk to it. And you might not see. I don't think I've never really seen a ghost in form. There's one thing that happened in my mother's room when I was sleeping there by myself one time. Um, but I still don't know if those things that I saw were ghosts. I saw shadows of two people talking, and when I looked outside, there was no body in the way of the light. When you see a shadow, there should be people or whatever object, and then this is the object or the people, and then this is the shadow. I just saw a shadow with nobody, and there were some other things that happened in the same moment that was paranormal. But I'm not gonna go into the story. But other than that, I don't, and I still don't know what that was, so I don't even know. So, so I've never really seen a ghost in form, and even though I'm clairvoyant and I see energy and I see orbs. I see a lot of things. I've never really seen a ghost, at least not in a human shape. So, you know, but I was just saying this to say that if I perceive a ghost to be in the space that I'm in, if I move inside of an apartment or a house and there's a ghost there, I would benevolent or not, I would welcome it into my space and speak to it. Which taken me to my next point, that how to get rid of a ghost, any ghost, is to not fight it, or a demon. Really, is to not fight it, is to welcome it, is to give it exactly what it needs, to show it a kind of a concern, a care. Talk to it. Don't ask it to leave. Don't want it to leave. Just be present with it. And after a while, it will realize that you are not really trying to get rid of it or trying to fight it, and it will feel comfortable enough to dissipate or to move on. Um, if it's a ghost that wants you to help it, um, you'll probably most people would probably not know that that's what it means, and then try to fight it out, and which makes it worse because it's already confusing. Now you're confusing it more by fighting it and making it feel unwelcomed. So in that case, you still have to call it in, welcome it, talk to it, let it know that it's okay to let it know its status, that it's a person that used to live there and they're dead, and it's okay for them to move on if they want to. Give them the option of move. Tell them it's okay for them to stay. I believe. Tell them it's okay for them to stay or to move on, because the whole rushing away of the ghost is going to just totally. When you're fighting anything, it's going to fight you back, and then fighting it, it doesn't understand what is going on, and then it's fighting you back. Whatever you fight is going to fight you back. So that's one thing about ghosts. Is there another topic I can talk about? Let's see if I could name this video while I make the video live. don't know why I want to sleep. I think one topic I want to touch one time is like creatures that so-called mythical creatures and how not mythical they are and why they're not mythical. This was so funny. Hold on.
Looking for web hosting for a reasonable price? This is your 75% off deal for web hosting services and a free domain, all at hostinger.com.
Hey everybody, today we're debating SJW ethics, outrage culture, and more, and we are starting right now.
Amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic discussion, as we have two very distinguished guests. This is going to be a lot of fun, folks. So, by the way, if it's your first time, consider hitting that subscribe button, because we have a lot more debates coming up. So, for example, this Friday, we are very excited that we'll have on Jonathan Sheffield and Matt Dillahunty debating on whether or not the Gospels were authored by Jesus' own disciples. So that should be a lot of fun. And want to let you know as well, as you're listening today, and you, as you're listening, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of this guy. I want to hear more. I need to hear more. I put their
This is debate with
so that way, while you're listening,
Jesee Peterson.
If
If you're watching my live and you want to ask me about ghosts or whatever topic you want to ask about, you could ask.
So, with that,
Because there's nothing
I'll let you know that it's just
worse to me like
very
starting my live and then have to
styles
end
for just
it
a
because I don't have a topic.
I will get the
And I have-
ball rolling by just asking one or two questions, and then I might step in and add another question if it seems that conversation's starting to die down. We are going to have a Q&A at the end, which should be about 25 to 30 minutes. So if you have a question, feel free to fire it into the old live chat, and I will pull those questions into a list. Following that, I will ask as many at least that we can get to during the Q&A. Obviously, you probably won't get to all of them. Also, super chats are an option, in which case you can ask a question or make a comment toward one of the speakers if you're doing a super chat. And the super chat will also push your question or comment to the top of the list for the Q&A. We ask that whether it be a question or a comment, first we'll just go left to right.
One race to enslave another race? How is that not racism?
So are you saying that when the blacks were in Africa and they were enslaved by other blacks, was that racism?
It's a real place.
Was that racism?
Sure, yeah.
No, it wasn't. Blacks
why not?
In Africa, mommy Africa, blacks were being used by the so-called rich blacks, the ones that were leading, and they were using blacks as money when they made deals. And at some point, the Arabs went to Africa. The Arabs went to Africa and captured, and in many cases, bought the blacks from the blacks in Africa, and they sold them around the country. And even in this country, there were black people who owned slaves. So it was the.
I don't know much about the history of Africa, but you can't say that white people owning black people is not racism. How is that not racism? Because it's a race of people that says another race is inferior to my race.
So
how is that not racism?
Because there were blacks in this country who owned other blacks as well as slaves. Are you saying they were racist too?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if that's true or not. I can't imagine that that's true.
It is true.
But if it is, then
racism.
Well, look, I mean, then fine. Then it's a different kind of racism. But
are you saying that
slavery is based on white people of black people being inferior to white people. That's the basis for slavery.
Dave, I just want to move forward with this. Are you saying that the blacks who own other blacks in this country during that time, were they racist as well?
I don't really know. That doesn't really reflect on the institution of slavery.
White people, how do you know if white people are racist, but you don't know if black people are racist who are doing the same thing?
Maybe there were white people who owned slaves that weren't racist.
I feel like I think people are still racist towards their own race because it's still racism, and I describe racism as the isms of race. So if it's your own kind and you don't like your own kind relative to race, then it's still racism because it's pertaining to race. Okay, racism is my emotional respond to race. Okay, being racist is my emotional response to race. Racism, the isms of race. So whether it's in your own race or another race, it's still racism.
And that was the way it was done at the time. But slavery, the institution of slavery, which was endorsed by the United States of America, was a racist institution. There were people maybe that didn't agree with it, and maybe even still owned slaves, and maybe they weren't racist. And there were politicians that owned slaves that fought to overturn slavery. So I'm not talking about every single individual. I'm talking about the institution of slavery. What could be more racist than slavery? The subjugation of a race of people.
So Dave, are you saying that the blacks who own black slaves in this country, were they racist?
Did you not hear what I just said for the past minute?
You didn't answer my question.
I just answered your question.
You did not answer my question.
Just answer your question.
Dave.
I said that I'm not talking about an individual. I'm talking about the institution of slavery, which is when endorsed by the American government in that time, is a racist institution. I don't need to defend like a singular person, but what a single person believed or did has nothing to do with the institution of slavery and the laws of a nation.
So are you saying, Dave, that the institution of black people who own other black people in America during that time was that racist?
But yeah, the owning of black people, turning black people into property is racism.
So were those black people racist who owned other black people? Were those blacks racist?
I don't know. Sure.
What do you mean? I don't know. Sure, you seem mighty sure when you accuse the white.
Look, you can. There were millions of people in America at that time, and you can go through every single person and say, what did this person think? What did this person think? What did this person? I'm talking in a broader sense.
I am
There's
too.
no defense.
There's a broader amount of black people who own other black people. Are you saying?
No, you're trying to use a very tiny subset. This is not the norm.
No, I'm not.
Right? White people enslave black people.
Dave,
so trying to take like the one or two people.
Dave, are you saying those black people, more than one or two that own black people, were they racist? That's all I want to know from you.
How is turning a race of people into property not racism? I think that's.
You realize you're not answering my question, right, Dave?
No, I did though. When I said that I'm talking about slavery as an institution, so you want to fixate.
Why is it so
this is very obvious apologetics. You are an apologist.
Why is it so easy for you to accuse white people who own slaves as racist, but not the blacks who own blacks as slaves?
Well, it's fine. Okay, then they're racist if that's what you want to hear. Sure.
No, that's what I want to hear that from you, Dave.
Okay, well, you said fine. Let's go.
Why is it so hard to accuse the whites but not the blacks?
Why is it so hard to accuse it? Because it's not the norm. If you want to talk about the majority of people, don't you think the majority of slave owners were whites by an incredible margin?
I don't know
how many slave owners were black.
I don't know about incredible margin, but I know
Jesse, look,
there were more.
You're really obsessed about these black slave owners. So how many were there? Tell me. You seem to have some data that you're looking at there. How many slave owners were black?
Dave, I'm not looking at data.
You don't have a number. You don't have a number for that.
I'm telling you that it was more white people because this is a white man's.
Some people might argue that, Some people might argue that, even if black people had slaves, they learned from white people. I mean, some Rastafarian people in my family had a similar argument, and they're saying that, oh, black people's evil came from white people. And I'm saying, well, uh, if somebody taught you to be evil and you became evil, there was a streak inside of you. There was a capacity, a thing inside of you that was already prone, or should I say, at the propendency, if that's actually what I'm looking for. I can't hardly call that word. That had like a potential to become evil, and even in this case, racist towards your own kind. If it didn't exist inside of you to begin with, nobody could have triggered it. Did white people somehow do something to trigger it? Yeah, they did something physical or something verbal, emotional, all that stuff. That did take you there to become that person to do those evil things. But if you didn't have it inside of you to be that way, you would not have ended up that way. Okay? And I was trying to say to them that, well, we're all made up of the same stuff physically, and we're all made up of the same stuff emotionally and spiritually and mentally. And if that's, they're saying, no, well, if we're all made up of the same stuff, we will look the same. No, we're all made up of the same stuff, and we are different versions of the same stuff, different representation of the same stuff. Um, it's a different kind of melanin that makes white people, give them their color or the lack thereof, and it's a different either more or less of this melanin, or a different kind of melanin. It's still melanin. It's just the different intention behind, should I say, spiritual intention behind why we look different, but it's the same. It's the same essence. It's the same elements that is making us up. It's just like the elements. It's just like on the periodic table. You have barium and am I saying these things right? Nitrogen, oxygen, all that stuff. It's different elements, but the root, the base of them is being really fed by the same kind of a stuff. And there's certain different things that is added to make it different in a certain way, but the base is still, it's just like the basis of our physical reality is made up of carbon, but still that carbon is still expressing itself in different ways. It's expressing itself in a tree, in metal, in oxygen, in carbon dioxide, in everything, in every living thing or non-living thing that is physical in this reality. So we're all made up of the same stuff, is what I'm trying to say. But they're thinking that because I said we're all made up of the same stuff, that means that white people and black people would look the same, but they're thinking about it too narrow. Okay? So I'm just saying this to say, just that we're made of the same stuff physically, we're made of the same stuff emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And so that thing that caused white people to want to enslave people is the same stuff that caused black people to want to enslave other black people. Okay? It's just that people are doing it for power. Okay, based on white people are doing it. These people are different from me. They look different than me. They're not my people. And based on a bunch of different aspects and factors and traits that they have, I'm gonna assume that they're inferior and say they're inferior, and overpower them and make them believe they're inferior. And black people internalize that and still start to feel inferior. And the black people who feel inferior, but not as inferior as the more codependent one, um, felt strong enough and had the power, had enough belief in themselves to want to enslave um, other black people because of those same reasons. It's an inferiority I feel, and so I need to feel superior to somebody. But because I can't enslave the white man because he's more powerful than me, I do it to other black people. Okay, and why did white people do initiated that in the same in the first place? It's because of an inferiority issue that they have too. Okay, there's different levels to this thing. It's the same thing I was trying to explain to this other same sister about the language that we speak. That certain language, the Jamaican language and the Jamaican dialect, is holding a lower frequency than the American accent. Not because it's inferior, but just because of whatever caused it to be birthed, whatever is making it what it is, and so whatever the history behind it. And I don't remember why I started talking about that in relation to what I'm talking about now. But I'm saying that, white people, it's an inferiority feeling that causes them to want to oppress other people. And you might say, well, nobody oppressed them, so who did they learn it from if black people learned it from them? Well, they learned it from, their parents. They learned it from trauma. Everybody comes to this life with trauma, and everybody will have some feelings of inferiority, some feelings of self issues, some feelings of not feeling adequate, and so they will take that out on either people that they want to overpower because they feel like the people are better than them, or because they really feel like the people are less than them, and they still have a need to feel superior to those people. So, where did white people get it from? If black people could get it from white people, where did white people get it from? Black people didn't get it from white people per se. They learned it in a certain kind of way. The way they were treated influenced their mind to want um, to enslave other black people to feel a superiority over someone. Because if you're at the bottom, the only people you're going to you have to feel superior to is the people in your own group. And so the reason why white people did it was because of an inferiority thing that they had. And where did they get it from if they weren't enslaved? Okay, because if you're gonna say, well, black people got it from white people, and then that is to say that somehow white people have this power to just give you evil. And I was trying to say to her that if you're gonna say that about white people, you're saying that white people are superior to you because they have so much power that they could give you evil. They could put evil in your body. That's how powerful you're making white people out to be. And wonder why white people continue to believe that they're superior to you because you think they're superior to you. Okay, so if white people, if black people had that a natural, not a natural, a thing inside of them that when triggered with certain abuse can turn them into monsters, like slave owners, like some black people had slaves in Africa. And I heard that there's some black people who was enslaving people, but other black people here in the Americas and maybe in the Caribbean. So if black people, if I'm saying that if white people did that to you and turned you evil, you already had the capacity and the potential of becoming evil by something being triggered, and that trigger is the oppression and the powerlessness that has been internalized from feeling powerless to the white man, to my slave owner or whatever. And if I'm saying this, then I would have to show you how how that very thing caused white people to have the same kind of evil. I'm saying this to say that black people have the same kind of evil, white people have the same kind of evil. It's not that white people gave black people evil. They all have that same baseline of an emotional state that when triggered cause them to want to enslave. And it's the same thing. It's like people make you feel the way they're feeling. The way they're feeling is how they're gonna make you feel. So if white people want slave is because in a way they feel like they're slaves themselves. And what do they feel like they're slaves to? if they didn't have somebody enslaving them for the most part, per se, then that feeling itself would come from their own traumas, their own childhood traumas, the way their parents raised them. You know, if their parents didn't raise them as in the kind of a brutality and gruesome kind of a slavery that they did to black people, but it's the inevitable trauma um, that happens in your childhood and in this life, especially back then. It really was really inevitable to have that kind of trauma because, you know, parents back then they weren't as gentle as parents now, and so um, white people got that feeling of those feeling of powerlessness and those feelings of inferiority from their parents, and in when because you don't want to enslave your own kind, now that you see yourself at the top, who are you going to enslave? You're not going to enslave your own kind because you see your kind as being up at the top. So you need to enslave somebody else. And so you look out in society and you see black people, and so you choose them to be the slaves. But white people did not give black people evil, okay? But white people triggered something inside of black people that caused them white people did certain things that caused a trigger that caused white people to, I mean, black people to become so dysfunctional and so traumatized that that it caused these kind of personality disorder issues, these psychosis kind of a psychopathy, should I say? Because I mean, this we live in a psychopathic world, psychopathy, psychos. We live in a psychopathic world, and we're all kind of messed up that way. We all are narcissistic and psychopathic in some kind of way. And so you don't need to be enslaved to become evil. So that's why white people, with the same, having that same capacity as black people to do evil, you know, were so traumatized by their parents and their culture. That's the next thing that they found somebody to enslave to be able to cope in this life with their traumas, and so they enslaved black people, and so black people caused it triggered something inside of black people to feel so powerless that they needed to feel powerful, and so they chose black people, other black people, to enslave to take that power back. So I'm just saying this to say that white people did not give black people evil. You can't say that about white people without saying that white people are gods, that they could plant evil inside of you. You're saying that in a way, you're saying that you're inferior to white people. You're saying that white people are so freaking powerful that they could plant evil inside of me. And I was telling this to a lot of these pro-black Afrocentric people, they have these same self-hating, self-defeating, servient kind of a ways about them. That is, they disguise those things with pride, and the pride takes a form of, oh, white people plan evil into black people. It's white people that did it to us. That's the pride aspect of it. That's the surface aspect of it. But they don't realize that underneath that surface is something that says there's no way you could see white people as giving you evil without saying that white people are gods, or even the devil. Still, you still see them as some all-powerful being that could give you evil.
This country, he founded, he built in the country.
Yeah.
There was more white people here than there were blacks.
And so then they went and stole black people and enslaved them.
Naturally,
how is that not slavery?
You're going to have more black people, white people own the slave, but you people who want to accuse white people of being slavery tend to love accusing the whites, but you don't want to accuse anyone else.
I don't love accusing anybody of anything. White people owned black slaves. That's just a historical fact.
And
it's a racist thing.
Too. That's a historical fact.
How many were there, Jesse? How many? Yes, it does. If you're talking about one versus 100,000,
Why does it matter the number?
Because it's a statistical anomaly. It's not reflective of what the nation was doing.
Well,
The nation of United States of America enslaved black people.
Why
and they made them their property.
Let's move forward. But why are you having a problem
Right.
calling it racist? We can see that you have a problem with that, Dave.
I specifically said it was racist. I considered that point twice.
So you're saying those blacks who own other blacks were racist?
Sure. For the sake of moving forward.
You're being sarcastic about sure. But you
because because you're using a statistical anomaly to challenge the idea that slavery is.
I don't know if I see what this is. It says modern day debate with Jesee Peterson versus Dave. I am Dave. No, Dave Farina. It seemed like he's some kind of a science guy that he has a channel for science on YouTube. And this was from April 2020. This was when COVID just started. Wow. Yeah. This is what this is. I gotta. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for playing it in background. I probably could. But my channel is not that big yet. Maybe I'll make these videos private pretty soon and they won't see them. I don't know. I hope I don't get sued. Because right now I don't have dry shit in my ass. I don't know if they said this in America, but when somebody's broke, I don't want to call myself broke because I'm working with the law of attraction to bring me money right now. And I'm rich. But right now I don't have the physical money in my hand right now for anybody to sue me.
Racist. I mean, it's ridiculous. The mental backwards, particularly as a black person. I mean, come on, man.
What does that mean, particularly as a black person?
I don't understand how you have no sympathy for your own ancestry.
What does that mean? My ancestors were not enslaved.
Okay, I don't know your particular lineage, but still.
Blah, blah, blah. My ancestors were not enslaved, eh?
We might.
How do you know?
We might.
How do you know?
Go into more so the question of moving from the past to today. Is racism a significant problem today as we kind of live in 2020?
Well, it is. I mean, blacks are disproportionately targeted by, police brutality. I don't think there's any denying the statistics there. That's the first example that comes to mind in terms of racism. I think there are other things that are more subtle. And I'm not really an expert. This is, I have more of a science background. I'm not really too much of a politics and sociology guy. But I mean, you can't deny that blacks are disproportionately targeted for, police brutality, and else they're disproportionately targeted in other ways as well.
That's another made-up lie. It's not true that blacks are targeted because they're black. There's no such thing as police brutality. The reality is that black people today, not all, but most, black people are suffering due to the lack of moral character, due to under the Jim Crow, due to the lack of family. Not all, but most, black people are suffering due to the lack of moral character, due to the lack of family. Because when I was growing up, under the Jim Crow laws, we had family. We had fathers and mothers who were together, grandfathers and grandmothers who were together. They worked, and they showed us the right way to go. They didn't blame the white man. They treated everyone the way that they would like to be treated.
But so you're saying that
they were treated, in your time, and they.
So basically, Jesee Peterson is pretty much saying that because black people had family back then in Jim Crow time, I don't understand this. Because black people had family in Jim Crow time, then the times were better for black people. I wouldn't say that. It was better in terms of them having family. But was it better overall? No. because they were in a somewhat kind of a still kind of a slavery system. So how is it better? Is that what it takes for things to be better? You know, you could be walking through, you could be walking through like hell on like with like on fire on the ground hell, and fire all around you burning you up. But oh, I have ice cream in my hand, so makes everything better. No, that's stupid, man. That one thing doesn't make things better for the people. Okay, and the reason why, you know, you are so like big on talking about how black people had family and things were better back in Jim Crow. I'm talking to Jesee Peterson here. Back in Jim Crow, black people were better because they had family. It's because it's a kind of a, like a black shame. It's like living up to a certain standards, you know, by people's idea of what uh people, life should be for people. You know, everybody should get married and live life this way because some book said so, or this is the standard set by a certain kind of people in society, and decent human beings do things this way. And if black people are doing things differently now, then they're suffering from moral characters according to him. um yeah, it's still coming from a shame. You know, it's like, you know, you're suffering with from the shame of so much of what black people are doing or not doing with relative to marriage and family, so much so today that you are willing to somehow suggest that in Jim Crow time, in such a such a terrible perilous time for black people in the past, just because they had that one thing, it made them better. That's how ashamed that, you know, you are to be black. That's how ashamed you are of your people, you know. And we all have some black shame to some degree. But this guy has it really bad, man. Okay? So people can't choose to not get married if they want to. They have to be married to be what makes you good people, and what should make you happy is being married and having all your children um, with two parents and married in the same home, and that is what should make that moral thing should make you happy. You know, it's not it's not um, it's not being free from the idea of have to one water fountain over here for black people, one water for white people. You can't go into this restaurant. You can't drive at this area of the bus. These things should not matter as long as you have family, that is a two-parent home and that kind of shit. To me, is craziness to me. And I'm not saying that families shouldn't stay together and people shouldn't get married and people shouldn't have wedlock and that kind of stuff. These things are good, as long as the the family itself is not a extremely dysfunctional family, which is hard to find because most families on planet Earth right now are extremely dysfunctional and always have been for a very long time. So yeah, uh, it's good to have two parent family. It's good to have marriage and wedlock families. But if those families are not happy and they're dysfunctional, the whole wedlock kind of shit is just for show. It's just to be moral. And I'd rather be immoral and be happy than be moral and be happy. And I most definitely would rather um, be immoral and happy in a system that does not put limits on my life as far as what restaurants I could go into. I'd rather be immoral and happy in a Jim Crow free society than be in a Jim Crow society and have a two parents or have or in a marriage relationship with my children, or in a society where my people are good people because we're moral and we do these things, and you know, we don't depend on the government because of whatever I'd rather be in that society than be in a Jim Crow society. Um, yeah, I'd rather be in a so-called immoral society that people don't have to get married and people feel as though they don't have to get married than to be living in a Jim Crow time.
They were treated in the way that they would like to be treated. And so,
So
what
you're
happened
telling
was the
black
civil
people have
rights movement.
family.
Hold on,
and
Dave.
now-
Hold on, Dave. Hold on, Dave.
We'll just let's give them a little bit, and I promise we'll come back to you.
And so what happened was the civil rights movement came along, the worst mistake that ever happened to black people. And the civil rights leaders, Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, and all those guys, they said to black people, we're your leaders. Stop thinking for yourself and let us tell you how to think. And the blacks, most, not all, turned their lives
Black
over to the
people.
civil rights movement. And then
Black people were not really thinking for themselves. They weren't moral because they were thinking for themselves. They were moral because they had to be. They had to be under the under like manners and like subjection of a society that wants them to stay in line. People can come across as being very obedient and very mild mannered and very nice even and moral if they live in a society where they have to be. They're being, you know, back then they were lynchings and shit. There was so much going on racism wise. You know, so that caused black people to become to be very like meek and very timid because they're being intimidated. They're being intimidated. You're timid. And I think that's what he's interpreting this timidry as being moral. Black people couldn't really be immoral back then much because they didn't really have a lot of power to be free. I think is all I need to explain it. They didn't have a lot of power to be free, and if you don't have a lot of power to be free, you're going to be very you come across as kind of subservient and kind of a like, because that's what abuse does to you. You know, when you're being abused, you're kind of like this kind of a codependent type person and a codependent type personality. You know, it's, you know, you're being, you know, like this, you know, being like controlled by this narcissistic system, um, and a bunch of sociopathic people who, you know, wants to see you like that. They want to see you like a little slave, like a little, you know, puppet. So I think what Jesee Peterson is calling moral was just black people. There's a word I'm looking for, man. Was just black people being that way because they didn't have a choice. They could not be free and out there doing shit, you know, and getting wild like black people today because, you know, they were under, you know, this kind of this system that was just, as far as I'm concerned, was still a different kind of a slavery system, Jim Crow. So I'm gonna need Jesee Peterson to have a seat, a fat seat. Okay, people will be, you will like if you have a puppy or a couple puppies and you beat them every day, they're gonna have that same kind of a that low personality, low vibration. I don't believe in myself. I can't take care of myself. So that's the next thing too. That's the next thing too. Why one reason? I mean, maybe I wrote this down in my book. Maybe, you know, black people are have been for so long. Have been, you know, so dependent because of the codependency issue in the community that what came down generation after generation from slavery coming down, trickling down all the way down to today. It's a kind of a codependent, narcissistic kind of relationship that black people and white people always had with one another. I was trying to make a certain point and I forgot. Let's move on.
Came the Democratic Party under Lyndon B. Johnson, and the black civil rights leaders and Lyndon B. Johnson. The Democratic Party made an agreement. Hey, let us have the blacks on the Democratic plantation We'll keep them there for 200 years, and we'll provide for them. We'll give them welfare. We'll give them free stuff.
And then just
They
to
can't have a father in the home.
just because there's a lot.
And yes, and they took the fathers out of the home. The so-called black corrupt race hustler became the head of the people. The Democratic Party began to use them, and they have not recovered.
Let's switch,
wrap it up.
just because there's a lot of points. We'll kick it back over to Dave.
Okay, so you're the entire basis for this fantasy narrative that you're spinning is that when you were young.
One sec.
Hey, let me get a few words out here, buddy. Your whole thing is that when you were young, there was family in the black community, and now there's not.
Yes.
Is that kind of the gist of it? So what are you basing that on? Do you have some kind of census statistics? Where are the black people that were without family? Give me some numbers here.
70% or more out of wedlock today. Everybody.
Where are you getting that from?
Everybody.
Give me a citation. Give me a citation.
Everybody.
Give me a citation.
Hey,
you don't have a citation?
Everybody and their daddy in jail. Black people hate white folks. They're relying on the government.
Jesse, you're just making things up.
Stop.
You're literally making things up.
When they're stopped by the cops, they give the cops attitude. They call them racist. They attack the cops. What do you expect the cops to do? Because the blacks have been brainwashed.
What I don't expect the cop to do is to shoot an unarmed man. I do not expect the cop to shoot an unarmed man. That's what I don't expect them to do.
And that the cops are racist. They're told that
Jesse, this is a really cool story. I mean, it sounds like a really fun story and a real fun thing to talk about, but you're basing it on nothing. You just said 70% of black babies are born out of wedlock. And I asked you for citation. You talked over me because you knew that you don't have one and you don't want to provide one. Because you're making that up out of thin air. You have nothing to back that up at all. That's your narrative that you're spinning.
Since you're an intellectual, and I understand that intellectual people have no logic. And I believe it.
Intellectual people have no logic.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you noticed that?
No, I haven't. I think actually intellectual people have logic.
No.
That's kind of what makes them intellectuals.
No, that's why the world is going crazy, because the intellectuals have no logic.
Right.
And the people
I think you mean so-called intellectuals.
But according to the census, 70% of black babies are born.
Generation after generation from slavery.
Back over to Dave.
Okay, so you're the entire basis for this fancy narrative that you're spinning is that when you were young. Hey, let me get a few words out here, buddy. Your whole thing is that when you were young, there was family in the black community, and now there's not.
Yes.
So what are you basing that on? Do you have some kind of census statistics? Where are the black people that were without family? Give me some numbers.
70% or more out of wedlock today. Everybody.
Where are you getting that from?
Everybody.
Give me a citation. Give me a citation.
Everybody.
Give me a citation. You don't have a citation?
Everybody and their daddy in jail. Black people hate white folks. They're relying on the government.
Jesse, you're just making things up. You're literally making things up.
When they're stopped by the cops, they give the cops attitude. They call them racist. They attack the cops. What do you expect the cops to do? Because the blacks have been brainwashed.
What I don't expect the cop to do is to shoot an unarmed man. I do not expect it.
Out of wedlock. Are you saying?
Which census? Where are you getting that data?
Are you saying that you're not?
I said the word census. You're just repeating the word census that I used.
Dave, are you saying that you're not aware of that information?
I'm saying that is a lie that you made up, and you have nothing to back that up.
Okay, so you're saying
give me a link. Give me a citation. Tell me something where you find that.
You're saying that you're not aware that between 70 and 77% of black babies born out of wedlock.
I'm telling you that I don't believe that, and that you have nothing. You have no citation to provide me, and I think I know why you don't have any citation.
Hey, Dave,
I'm not aware of the lie that you're saying.
I told you intellectuals have no logic.
So if you lie to me and I don't believe your lie, I am an intellectual without logic.
Do you love black people?
Are you a chicken?
Yeah, do you love black people?
Yes, I love all people.
So are you happy that they're coming from broken homes? They're relying on the government. They don't think for themselves. They're having babies out of wedlock. They're having abortions like 90 going north. They're whining and begging and blaming and acting like bitches. Does that make you happy, Dave?
This story that you're telling, no, I don't really like this story because it's a misrepresentation of an entire race of people.
Not all, but most.
I think that black people are disproportionately under the poverty line, but all of these things that you're saying,
why is that?
Black people are whining. Black people are whining. Do you know every black person? I mean, how can you say something like that?
Under the poverty level.
Well, I think that's because of racism. You know what I mean? I think that just because blacks were given the right to vote by Democrats, by the way, by civil rights. I'm not a Democrat, by the way. I mean, I don't identify as a Democrat. I certainly don't identify as a Republican. But obviously, Democrats have been the ones to enfranchise black people with the vote. And by the way, we should talk about other races too, Arabs and
Well, the Democrats fought against the blacks voting. It was a Republican who pushed for the blacks to vote, and the Democrats
false.
The Democrats fought against it. But I do want to tell you,
you just talked about Lyndon Johnson. I mean,
you said that the blacks are under poverty. They are in poverty or something like poverty level or something, right?
I think so. I mean, I'm not prepared with statistics either because this is not really my field, and I'm really prepared for this at all. But I think that's true. If you want, we could Google it. And we could also Google your claim about the 70%. We could see if that's true or not. Do you want to turn this over to a Google party and check your statistics? Let me ask you this. You want to let your friend over there Google it?
Let me ask you this. If the blacks were to get married and they have father and mother in the home, the father and mother were to provide it, did it the right way, were good examples for their children, would they be under poverty level, or whatever you say?
There are plenty of
that's not what I'm asking.
Units.
I asked you, would the blacks be under poverty level if they have fathers and mothers in the home?
Yeah, and I'm answering your question, so maybe don't cut me off and actually listen to the words I'm saying. I'm saying that there are plenty of familial units, married people with children that are currently under the poverty line. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you able to will you answer my question now?
I just did. So
no, I didn't ask you about other people, Dave. I asked about the blacks.
You said, would black people be above the poverty line if they got married and did it the right way? And my response to you is that they do it the right way and are still under the poverty line. So it's a dumb question. That's my answer.
You're not an honest man, Dave. This is difficult debate. I'm not.
So when I demonstrate that you lie, I'm not. When I demonstrate that you lie, I'm not an honest man. Is that what's going on?
Do you enjoy seeing blacks play victim?
What do you mean play victim? Give me an example of playing victim. What does that mean?
Pretending that they're in poverty, pretending that the white man is holding them back.
Well, the poverty line is objective. People that are under the poverty line aren't pretending. They are under the poverty line. Who's pretending that they're under the poverty line or not?
Are you happy?
Yeah, anybody.
Are you happy to see the blacks as victims?
Let me write something down real quick. Here's my little book. People, when there's some people who want you to answer questions, either yes or no. Jesee Peterson is one of those people. He only want a yes or no answer. People, I'm writing this insight down. People who want you to answer in strictly yes or no. They are one, setting you up setting you up to agree with them, to agree with them by by giving you only one other option to disagree with them, by giving you only one other option to disagree with them, which means they are they're setting you up to either agree with them or get in trouble. They are setting you up to agree or get in trouble. What I mean by that is when they give you a yes or no, you see, some questions in certain situations cannot be answered with yes or no, with either yes or no, because some situations are so like not black and white, it's so nuanced and have like variants of different shades of yes or no and positive or negative in it, or maybe sure inside of it. There's a way to put that out there right now, but it's not fully coming to me yet. Um, so to agree with them, one answer equals agree strictly. The next one, the other, and other equals other answer equals disagree. You're in trouble. I think if I get to explain it with an example, it would be better because okay, he just asked this guy um, if he likes to see when black people are playing victim. This guy says yes. It means that he's in trouble. If he says no, it means that if he says no, it means that he's agreeing to some degree that black people are playing victims, but he doesn't like it. If he says yes, it means he wants to see black people in trouble. See, in this situation, somebody like him cannot answer the question in either yes or no, because either way, he's in trouble. So either way, whether he agrees with him or disagrees, he's setting up the guy to get in trouble. And yes or no answers, people who want yes or no answer, they're setting you up to get you in trouble. Because if you say yes, you're in trouble. If you say no, you're in trouble. Because really, a situation like that is you have to look at it in a broader sense, where to say that you if somebody asks me, uh, do you like when black people play the victims? Yes or no? My thing is only some black people play the victim. Okay, and even if it's most, it's still some. And if it's most, it's not all. Still some. So if I say yes, I'm saying that black people play the victim and I hate it. And all black people play the victim and I hate it. And if I say no, it means that black people play the victim, and I mean, if I say yes, it means I like it. Then they play the victim, which means I'm in trouble. If I say no, it means that I don't like that black people play the victim, and black people play victim. All black people play victims, but I don't like it. Either way, I'm kind of in trouble. You see how that is? Most times, either either answer will put you in trouble.
No, I don't want to see anybody as a victim.
And what is the solution?
Well, that's a very good question.
Okay, so I think I know what I need to say is this, some answers has to be explained in parts because it is not um, two shades, two solid shades, because ideas, demographic personalities, and life varies and take on different 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 pieces of one or more things into one or more things. This is how I just sit and reason things out until my reasoning start to come back solid. When my reasoning start to come back solid with all the healing and all the shit that I'm doing, I'm a force to be reckoned with, baby.
I would say, I'm not an expert, but I think we need a massive redistribution of wealth. I think we need to redistribute some of the wealth at the very top of the 10th of 1%. We need to get companies like Amazon to actually pay taxes. We need to redistribute that amongst the community. We need to put money back into education, social services.
Yeah. You're saying that you're saying we need to take Oprah, Bill Cosby, Barack Obama, and all those guys. We need to take some of their money and give it to the blacks.
I'm talking about people much richer than that. I'm talking about like Jeff Bezos.
Not Oprah or Obama, the Parliament side Obama.
I mean, Oprah's super wealthy. I think she could give a little more.
Are you talking about that?
We could take a little more from Oprah. I mean, Bill Cosby, he's in jail.
How about
Obama? Obama, what's he worth?
He's worth more than you and me.
Oh, he's definitely worth more than me. I don't have anything. I mean, sure, let's bump him up another 5%. I don't know. See, the problem is, this is
so sorry for the blacks that you want to take from the whites and give to them.
Yes, so this is not an issue of race.
I need freaking water, man.
This is not an issue of race at all.
Rather than making the blacks earn their way, you want to take from the whites.
But wealth inequality is a problem that transcends race. And I'm not saying we should take it from white people and give it to black people. I'm saying we should take it from rich people and give it to poor people. The richest people.
Who do you want to take it from?
I didn't mention Bill Gates, but sure, fine, Bill Gates. I don't know. The richest.
Bill Gates a minute ago.
I definitely did not mention Bill Gates.
I was talking to Obi, I didn't hear you.
Nobody mentioned Bill Gates. I said Jeff Bezos.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mention race.
Sorry about that, yeah. So
I didn't mention race at all.
You'd rather see Jeff give his money to the blacks rather than blacks earning their way.
That's not what I said at all.
I'm asking.
That's not what I said at all.
That's a question.
Okay. Can I answer the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to answer the question. As I said, which I will reiterate again, I think that we need to get corporations such as Amazon to pay their fair share of taxes. Amazon currently pays 0 taxes. We need to actually collect taxes from these large multinational corporations, put them in federal funds, not just hand money to black people, right? We need to put them in federal, we need to be dispensing federal funds that go to education, public services, right? And perhaps disproportionately to the poorest areas. If they're black, great. If they're not, fine. If they're white, I don't care. Poor people need more money.
How will that help the blacks? By putting more money into education. We're already doing that up the yang gang, and they're getting worse and not getting better.
In where?
They're getting worse and they're not getting better.
Did you say yin yang?
Yeah, we're giving them more money. We're spending more money on education than any other country, and the blacks are getting worse rather than getting better.
See, this is the problem with having a conversation with you. Did you just say that America spends more on education than any other country?
Absolutely.
So that's wrong. Per capita, that's objectively wrong. This is the problem. Like, you're just throwing out anything you want to support your narrative, and you have no facts to back it up. You are objectively wrong. We do not spend more per capita than any other nation.
Tonight, make sure you Google all this, all right? You'll see.
How about you Google it? And how about the viewers Google it? No, you don't, because you cannot provide me a source for anything you're saying.
Why not?
No, you're
why
lying.
Not encourage family for the blacks? Why not say, hey, black people, get married, earn your way, save your money, invest.
What does that have to do with anything we just talked about?
Why would you?
Black people can get married if they want to, not get married if they don't want to.
Hold on, just to hear one at a time.
Would you encourage that for your family, Dave, or would you encourage them to get up and earn?
Encourage what?
The white man give more money into the schools and all that, so your family can make it, or would you encourage family for your own personal family?
Those are not even remotely related. I'm encouraging the United States government to collect taxes from large multinational corporations and invest them into education and other social services. It's not a race issue at all. It's not a family issue at all.
Would you encourage?
Yeah, you're asking me a nonsensical question.
Would you encourage your family to get married and do it the right way, or would you encourage them to wait for handouts?
Okay, hang on. Let's take a little aside here. Why is getting married the right way? What does that mean? What are you talking about?
Because when all your little studies have proven that when kids are raised by two parents in the home, they do better in life.
Why do they have to be married?
Because it's the right way. It's the right thing to do. Are you an atheist today? Are you an atheist?
Yeah.
I'll rest my case.
What case? You don't have a case. You can't rest a case that doesn't exist.
Why
is getting married better than just living together? Why do people have to be married?
So being an atheist, does that mean you don't believe in God? There's a God?
That's exactly what that word means, yes.
So where do you get your... So you don't, Dave, you don't believe there is a God?
Organizations and you do not need the government.
Yes, I do not possess a belief in...
And do you believe there is one? You just don't believe in him? Or you don't believe he exists?
You just asked me if I believe there is one, but I don't believe in him? Is that what you just asked me?
No, I didn't hear you clearly. Are you saying you don't believe there is a God?
I don't think that it can be stated any clearer. I said I do not possess a belief in any God. I cannot break it down more simply than that.
But a belief is different than believing that it exists. You just don't believe in him, but you do believe there is a God. Am I understanding this right?
Yeah,
No,
I think
you
I understand what
definitely
you're
are not
saying.
understanding correctly. I do not believe that a God exists.
Oh, I see. And so where do you get your moral values from?
I have consciousness,
Where you get that from?
my brain.
Oh, amazing. I told you the intellectual
It
has
is,
no
huh?
logic.
Yeah, but you can kind of just say that to anybody that doesn't agree with you and you have no retort. So that's not really much of a thing to say.
But look at the intellectual days. They're as dumb as a doorknob. If you have an issue, they'll take you to a psychiatrist and they'll give you medication rather than showing you how to overcome the problem. If you're a little child with a lot of energy, boys, they'll give you medication and dumb down the energy rather than showing you how to overcome the problem. Tell me that's not
true.
Dumb down the energy. That's the most pseudoscientific sentence I've ever heard in my entire life. So why don't you expand on that? Tell me about a problem that a child would have and what drug you think might be prescribed for it and why you think that is a bad thing.
It's happening every day. The little kids go to school, for example, and especially boys, because boys and men are hated in this country today. When they go to school, they have a lot of energy, and the teachers can't handle them because they're beta teachers. Beta. They tell the parents, get them answer the question, get them something to make them calm down, and cause the kids become drug addicts.
So you think that kids that are hyper are given antidepressants and then they become drug addicts?
Because the intellectual have no common sense. They do not know how to help you or tell you how to overcome the issue. So they drug you down. And now
is it that, or you just have no idea what you're talking about and you're not a trained
kids become young adults who are relying on drugs because they've been dumbed down in the schools.
Which proportion? What proportion of people are relying on drugs and which drugs, and where are you getting that data from?
One is too many, Dave.
One is too many? Having one person on drugs is too many? Which drugs?
Are you saying you're not aware of that, Dave?
I'm saying I am not aware of the lie that you just made up. Yes, because you just made it up. How could I be aware of it? You just said that most people, you're talking about children that are hyper, given antidepressants, and are now addicted to drugs. And then you said that most people are addicted to drugs or something.
You know what the intellectual call it? They call it HDD or something dumb. They make up a name for it, and they throw drugs down the kids' throat and destroy their energy. And now the kids.
I think you were trying to say ADHD.
Yeah, something dumb like that, because the intellectuals have no idea what they're doing.
So we can look at this. This is amazing. We just found one tiny little thing that we agree on a little bit. I'm going to tell you what it is. There was a time, I think in the 90s, it might have lapsed over into the early 2000s, where Ritalin was overprescribed. That's true. That is true, and it has happened that certain medications have been overprescribed. I will agree with you on that.
Thanks for being honest, Dave. And most, if not all, most of the children, especially who have received the medication, did not need it.
I don't think you can say most. I said overprescribed. But here's the problem. You're taking that and you're making this gigantic leap of logic to say, what did you say? That most people are addicted to drugs or something along these lines? You're basically trying to invalidate the entire field of psychiatry.
Because when they do either graduate from high school or college or leave high school, they reach out to other drugs because now they can't deal with society. They don't know how to deal with the issues of life. And so they tend to reach out. They tend to go for pot. Some of them use other forms of drugs because they've been
Where's your data?
Because their brains have been deadened and they have not been able to deal with the issues.
Where's your data?
And now they
Now
they have to rely on some form of drug or another.
So what's the difference between that being true and you just having made that up?
I did not make that up, Dave. Most people know that.
How do we know? How do we know you didn't just make that up? Do you have data?
When you get home tonight, look at Google.
I'm currently home and I'm aware of what Google is.
Well,
do you want to turn this into a Google party?
When we're done here, be sure to look at Google.
Yeah, I've seen Google, and I know that there's information on it. Do you want to do that now and check up on what you're saying and find some data?
Well, that's up to the host.
This might be a point at which we could switch into one thing we hadn't talked about But Jesse, I know that you had mentioned that as a country, the United States hates men or boys, and so I'll let you put it in your own words so I don't accidentally misrepresent you. But that's something that Dave, you looked like you maybe didn't agree. So that's maybe something we could talk about.
Okay.
Dave,
Yeah, we can change. Yeah, no problem.
Jesse, I'll give you a chance just in case I didn't state that correctly. If you want to explain what you mean by that.
Men and boys are the most hated species of this, and the reason for it is because men represent love, they represent authority, they represent the right way to go. And there are men, mostly women, who hate good. They hate men because they are jealous of the power that's in a man. Whether we realize it or not, it's something or not, there's a spiritual order to life. And that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. And whatever that order is reversed, we have hell on earth. Men become weak. They are always put down and destroyed. But when that man is in order, the love comes from God through Christ, through the man to the woman. Because women don't have love to give, they receive love, but they don't have it to give. But when that role is reversed, you only get anger and hatred from the woman, and that's why you have so many problems.
That's plenty to work with. That's plenty to work with.
Well, let's give him just a few more seconds. I promise we'll come back to you. Okay, let's give Dave about 3 minutes to be sure he can try to address as many.
No, I don't need 3 minutes. I just need to cut off like the river of bullshit to get to. You know. So first of all, the idea that you would say women have no love to give is insane. Maternity, motherhood, women represent love. So that's ridiculous. Number two,
where do women get love from?
Hang on. This is going to go into what you're asking. This is going to go into what you're asking. You said whether we like it or not, Christ, man, women, blah, blah, blah. You said whether we like it or not. No, not whether we like it or not. That's your religion, and I don't like it, and I don't follow it, and I don't buy it. And a secular society doesn't need to buy it because women don't want to be subservient to men, nor should be treated equally. So I don't really care what you think about your God and Jesus and all of these other things that you're saying. That doesn't affect me. And our country isn't run that way or structured that way, nor should it be. We have separation of church and state. So your beliefs, entitled to them as you are, do not affect me or the larger structure of society.
So Dave, this love that you claim women have, where do they get it from?
From themselves. What do you mean? Why does it have to be external? What are you talking about?
Where do they get it from, Dave, and how do they get it from themselves?
Inside of their brains. Inside of their brains. That's where emotions happen, in here. Did you know that?
So they have love in the brain?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Emotions don't happen in the brain.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, you should study some neuropsychology. Do you know about neurotransmitters?
Women don't have love, Dave. Women don't have love.
Okay, you want to back that up with something? Do you want to get into science? I don't think that you do, though.
You cannot argue with somebody like this, man. Like, you can't debate this guy because he is just.
What about a woman? What about a woman that has no husband and has children? Can a woman love her child without?
I'm sorry?
Can a woman love her child without a husband?
Only if she loves her father.
Can a woman without a father or a husband love a child?
Only if they have overcome their anger.
Can a woman that has no anger and has no father and has no husband love a child?
If she has no anger, that means she loved what's right, and that love will come down through her as well. But if she has
anger, buddy.
If she has anger, she has no love. It's impossible.
Well, that's pretty dumb because you can be angry and love somebody. So that's a literally meaningless statement. That's a meaningless statement.
Dave,
you can't like be angry. Like you can't like have a kid and love your kid, and somebody punches you on the street, and you're like, oh, angry at that person. Whoops, anymore. It's a really dumb thing to say. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, Dave, you're not talking about self-defense. You're talking about in families. In women. There is no love. It comes from the man. And if the woman is not getting it from the man, she's very angry and out of control.
Do I really need to repeat those questions I asked you before?
and to make herself feel better, she tried to make the world rotate around her, control the men, control the children, and everybody
you're implying that a single woman cannot love her child. The logical ramification of what you're saying is that a single woman cannot love her child, and that's dumb. It's a dumb thing to say. Women love their children.
No, they don't.
Inherently, innately, instinctively, in their brains.
That phony love, that emotional love that you think that women have, that they do have, comes from anger. It doesn't come from love. It comes from anger. That's not real love. That's why it's so destructive.
If you want to, I don't really feel like entering your fantasy land. If that's where you want to be, you be there. But I'm going to be in reality where women love their children innately. That's a fact.
Oh, if
so
women
I don't know what to tell you.
Why do the children end up so screwed up?
Which children? All children? All children end up screwed up?
They end up mentally ill, emotionally destroyed. Men become subject to the women, and the women destroy them. The kids grow up with the same anger that their mothers have. And
which children? Which children are you talking about?
They end up on drugs and alcohol and sex before marriage, and women end up living with women, and the women control them and destroy them. And then,
can I clarify? You're saying that all children are addicted to drugs and all of this? What are you talking about?
No. But most.
Okay.
But let me ask you.
Most children are addicted to drugs. That's what you're saying.
Most, not all.
Do I even need to ask you for a citation? Everybody listening knows that you're being ridiculous.
I mean, all of them are addicted to something.
Are addicted to drugs.
Children that become adults.
One form or another. Whether legal medication or illegal drugs. One of the way they are.
I believe all the children are addicted to something.
Love.
I wouldn't say they're all addicted to drugs.
Children become adults, they'll follow their children to West Hell to try and control them. Why don't they let the kids go if they had love?
So who are you talking about?
Mothers who you say have love, right? Once their kids become adults, once their kids become adult, why do they follow their kids around and try to control them?
I mean, like, rather than Are you talking about a movie you saw, or like a book you read, or like I just don't know what the hell you're talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Which women? Who are they?
Are you living
who are you talking about?
California? Where do you live, Dave?
I live in North Hollywood, California. Yeah.
Oh, I rest my case.
What case? You don't have a case.
I rest my case. Beta.
What case?
Beta Bell.
Jesse, you just said that mothers follow their children around, right? Who are you talking about? Be specific. Name them. List them. Give me a source. Who are you talking about that's not a figment of your imagination?
All these mothers that you claim to have love, they follow their grown adult children around. They get involved with their kids' marriages. They try to tell adult. They're not kids anymore. They're adults. But the mothers still try to control them. Is that love, then?
So today, every mother on earth is following their adult child.
Not all, but most, Dave.
So who? But most. Where are they? Where can I find these mothers? Where do they live? What are they doing
right now, Dave?
My mother lives in Connecticut.
Thank God, huh? No wonder you live in West Hollywood.
Yeah. Why do I live in North Hollywood?
I said,
because
no wonder you live in West Hollywood.
I live in North Hollywood.
Oh.
What's your implication there?
Oh, none.
Are you going to turn into a homophobe on me here? What are you doing there? No implication. Just lying about where you live to make a non-existent point. So actually, this is great. I'm glad you brought up my mom, because my mom lives 3 time zones away, and she is not over here ever. So why isn't my mom doing that? Did you just say that all women with adult children are following their children?
Believe me, you report to Mama. She may not be living in North Hollywood with you, but Mama.
No, not really.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know what to tell you.
What do you mean?
Really? You know my life better than I do, don't you?
Yeah, because you're a beta male. You're addicted to Mama.
YouTube is the #1 site for millions of creators online, but as more people flood to the platform, it's getting harder for your content to stand out from the crowd. That's where Sprizzy can help. Meet Tim, the lead singer of his band. Tim dreams of touring the globe and playing for fans all around the world. On top of putting out great content, he uses Sprizzy to reach new music lovers every day. Tim started by providing the names of a few bands whose audiences might also dig his own stuff, and Sprizzy set to work, promoting his content to those potential new listeners. Unlike other promotional tools, Sprizzy gives you control over your target audience. We believe in reaching real users, building your following, and encouraging organic growth. With more eyes on your content, you might just go viral.
What's that? What's beta? What's that?
You don't know? You never heard of a beta male?
Nah, what is it?
Have you heard of the fallen Messiah?
Nah, what? Jesus?
No, Barack Obama.
I know who Barack Obama is. Yes.
No.
So anyone who has heard of Barack Obama is a beta male?
Oh, have you heard of his?
All people are beta males?
Have you heard of his Big Mama wife?
Big Mama?
Yeah, Michelle.
I know who Michelle Obama is. Yes.
Would you marry Michelle? Be honest.
She's already
Would I
married.
marry her? Well,
Yeah.
First of all, I'm already married, so that poses a
And
problem.
she's
Let's
already
say you
married.
were not married. You're walking down the road. You look for a wife. Michelle came up. Would you marry her?
I wouldn't
Well,
just marry
how
somebody.
old is she? She's a bit older than I am.
I rest my case. Big Mama.
So a beta is anyone who would not marry Michelle Obama,
You see
or
how
is it
Big
anyone
Mama-
who would marry
you
Michelle
saw,
Obama?
you saw how Big Mama controlled Barack Obama while in the White House. Barack Obama went around the country bowing down to our enemies and apologizing for America being so great. And he's
bowing down to our enemies while doing record level drone strikes.
he was
You have
kissing
no clue what you're talking about.
he was kissing
We got some
boots.
fun.
I don't know much about politics, but
He
you
said-
know way less. I don't
he
think we
said-
need to be talking about this.
He said that Big Mama Michelle was his boss. She knows she's the boss. He allowed Big Mama to run over him. He's a beta male. And any man
Okay.
that Obama has anger, and you and I will agree that any
He
man
has
who has anger is a woman.
I'm sure he does. I've never seen him angry.
No, we will not agree on that.
But at least one more thing, Dave. Come on now.
No. Any man that has anger is a woman.
Right, because if you notice men who have anger, they get angry, they go off, they're insecure, they have doubt, they have fear, they have worry. They have the mindset of a woman which came from their mothers. And so
So
not
there's
normal.
so many ways. There's so many ways we can go with this.
not
Number
normal.
one, males are more aggressive, slightly more aggressive biologically.
no,
So
that's
to
the
attribute
funny thing.
women with anger is just ridiculous. Number two, isn't your God like a pretty wrathful God? Like you believe in God, right?
Absolutely.
You believe in the God of the Old Testament, right? The
Absolutely.
Yahweh. So
The
doesn't
one
he
that
like
created
regularly kill everyone and stuff,
I'm sorry.
and like give them plagues? Doesn't your God like kill everybody and start again and send people to hell and give them plagues and just kill people all the time? Don't you think that's pretty wrathful, angry behavior? Is your God a beta? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think that's angry behavior. That's what love
You
is.
don't think wrath and killing everybody in fire is anger? You don't think that that's anger? What is anger? What is anger?
When did he kill them in fire?
Have you read the Bible?
No, I'm asking you.
Do you
when
know
did
what
he do it?
fire is?
All like
Have you met
Sodom and Gomorrah
fire?
and stuff, and like
Did you shake his
fireballs,
hand?
And then like in Egypt with the plagues and the locusts and killing the firstborn, he killed all the firstborn. He kills a ton, and he's a really angry, nasty God. So
How
your
do
God
you
is
know-
a beta. Wouldn't you
How do
agree?
you? What made you think that was wrong for him to do that?
No, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't
But by
believe that any
your
of it happened.
standards
So
and
I don't really
definition
care.
of
But if
what
I'm
a
saying that
man
it's
is,
wrong,
you believe
you know,
that- you
God
don't
would be
believe that it
beta male
happened.
then because he's angry.
No, definitely do not believe
Then
that.
why
it
are you
happened.
complaining
But you do,
about
so I'm
something you
asking
don't-
you.
Why are you complaining
Because-
about something that you don't believe happened?
because I'm analyzing your belief system. You're saying that men who are angry are women, and
Right.
your
What
God
does
that
that
you
have
believe
to do
in is pretty angry.
What does
So
that have
you
to do
believe
with-
in
let's
a
go back
beta.
to let's go back to any man that has anger is a woman. It's not
Sure,
natural.
we haven't left it. We're still here.
It's not natural, Dave, for a man to have anger.
It's pretty natural, actually. Emotions are pretty natural.
The natural state of a man is logic, is love, and he guides his family in the right way to go. Any man that has anger has not overcome his mother, so he has the mindset of his and emotions of his mother, because you become like what you hate. And most men, if not all, most men resent their mothers, and in return, they resent all women. And they can't get away from it until they forgive the mother so their minds can be renewed. Because
Jesse,
every woman they get involved with is their mother until they overcome their mother. They got to forgive the mother for what the mother has done to them, turn them away from the fathers. And when you turn a boy or girl away from his father, you recreate them in your image.
I get it. So at this point, it would be very futile for me to continue to ask you for data to support anything you're saying, because I know you're making it off the top of your head. So let's think about why you're making it up off the top of your head. What is your relationship with your parents? I would like to know about that personally, if I could ask, if I can inquire. Yeah,
amazing.
Are you open to talking about that?
Yeah, I just said amazing.
Yeah, so let's hear about it. I would like to hear about your relationship with your parents, because it seems to me that a lot of this stuff is very personal, and you're projecting it on the human race. So I'd like to know if that's true or not. Tell me about your parents.
My relationship with my parents are amazing.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
Are they alive, or where are they?
No, they're dead.
You said something in the video.
Okay, so what they do? What was your relationship when you were a kid? Did you get along with them?
When I was at one point, my mother tried to turn me away from my father because she was angry at him because he didn't do the right thing by her. So she became angry.
What's that? What was not the right thing?
One way, he didn't marry her when he got her pregnant.
Was it 50 men and women, or 50 men and some women?
I mean, it's like I get better and better every single time, you know? So like maybe in the start it wasn't that good, and then later on it's really good.
So you really slept with 50 men?
No, women as well.
50 men and women?
Yeah.
50 people.
What is that like? You said it's fun?
Yeah.
Hey.
You tried it?
I'm sorry?
Have you slept with 50 men and women?
No way.
Why?
Why should I?
Yeah, why?
What are you looking for that causes you to
why?
do that?
Why haven't you slept with 50 men?
I've been a slut maker, but...
You've been a slut? So you have slept around with a lot of women?
Yeah, I have with a lot of women, but not that many.
Was it fun?
It was fun sometimes.
Yeah, see, so that's what you do the same way.
And so you feel good, you have fun sleeping around with the men and women?
Yes, as you have also fun when you're sleeping around with men and women.
I've never slept with men. It sounds like
Why?
Why you keep saying that? You're saying something that's not true.
I don't know. I'm just asking if it's true. Why?
I slept with.
What's
I
wrong
slept
with
with slut. Did you know that women who sleep around like that are sluts?
That sounds like a lot of fun. In that case, I can be a slut. I'm having a lot of fun.
You know, will you be a slut?
He's also a slut.
So what?
He sleeps with men and women.
He sleeps with men and women.
Yeah.
And so he's a slut maker.
He's a slut as well.
Is that true, Jesse?
I guess in your world, yeah, that's what I'd be, Jesse.
And so do you sleep with men and women?
Yep.
And why are you doing it with both people, both men and women?
It's fun. Why not? Twice as much fun, Jesse.
But why is it just fun to do it?
Yeah, sure. What? Yeah.
Once you get married, would you continue to do that?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Really? Yes, and I read that, and I don't know if I do this or not. At one time, you were a Christian.
Long time ago. Like,
I just had a Jesee Peterson he's live now on his thing now, but that is not as sweet as this. He's talking to two people who have been having bisexual activities. But I'm not really as interested in that as I am with this with Dave. I am Dave.
But she ended up getting married before I was born because at that time, black people had values and morals and character, and it was embarrassing to get pregnant out of wedlock. It was immoral, so she got married to my stepfather before I was born. That way, I would not be born out of wedlock. But the problem is, she resented my father, and as a result of resenting my father, she tried to turn me away from him. Make him look like the bad guy.
And did that make you angry when she did that to you? Did that make you angry?
Really fast. I'm getting to that really fast. And the worst thing that can happen to children is when mothers turn them away from their fathers, because you take on the mother's identity. You think that she's a victim when in reality she's a victimizer. And so I grew up. At some point, I realized my mother was wrong for doing that, and I went and forgave her for doing that. I told her, "Hey, that's wrong for you to turn me away from my father. The problem with you and my father had nothing to do with me. My father loved me, and she tried to pretend that he didn't. And as a result, I went and forgave her. I went ahead and talked to my father, and everything changed, Dave. I overcame the mentality of the mother and returned to my father."
Are you do you really lack the self-awareness involved in realizing that everything you're saying and your entire ethos is just a projection of your own childhood and your anger towards your mother?
Well,
are you really not aware of that? Do you have a therapist or something?
How do you explain becoming angry as your mother? You're just like your mama. How do you explain that?
I would not say I'm just like her, and I'm not angry at her.
Even though you don't want to be, you try not to be, you are, Dave.
So how do you know that?
Because I can see your mama in you, Dave.
You have no idea. You don't know anything about her, nor me. So
I see,
what's your basis for that statement?
When I see you, Dave, I see your mama.
Oh, yeah? What's she look like? Tell me about her.
You have her spirit.
Like me? I have her identity? What's my identity, and what's her identity?
It's anger, insecurity, beta mentality.
Oh, so women can be betas too?
Yeah, there are beta women for sure. Are you the head of your wife, Dave?
The head of my wife?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Are you the head of your wife?
My wife has her own head that she uses to speak and eat and things like that.
Does your wife obey you?
Does she obey me? No, I'm not. I don't own my wife.
Beta!
I'm her boss.
I told you you're a beta. You're married to your mom.
I thought being beta was being angry. So now you're changing it.
But it's because of
or is it being angry?
Hey, Dave. It's because of your anger recreated in your mother's image. And every woman you get involved with is your mother. That's why you can't handle them. You got to get over your mother.
No. Jesse, we've already established that this whole thing is your projection of your childhood. I did not have this experience with my mother that you had. I understand that you were angry at your mother, and I understand that you were angry at your father, and I understand that you're angry about your childhood.
Dave,
but this is a bit much, don't you think?
I have no anger, but why can't you be honest with your mother the way she?
You just said that you were angry with your mother.
Why can't you be honest with her?
Why can't I be honest with my mother? About what?
How evil she is.
Okay, so how do you not see the absurdity of you taking a person that you just met and a relative of theirs that you definitely know nothing about and doing what you're doing here? Everybody listening can see how transparently absurd it is.
Why can't
it's
you
really
be
desperate.
honest? Why can't you be honest about your mother, how evil she is? You're not answering that.
You didn't ask me a question. You didn't ask me, is my mother evil? Do you want to ask me that question?
I don't have to ask. I see her in you, Dave.
Oh, yeah? Well, how come you couldn't tell me what she looks like? How come you couldn't
That's
tell
why
me?
you
So wait, are you saying that you're psychic? Are you saying you're clairvoyant and you can see people?
I see her identity in you.
What is it? What does she look like?
Dave, how do you explain the reason you cannot stand up to your wife?
What do you mean stand up to? So you're switching it. You're saying that I obey her now? Is that what you're implying?
Dave, you're an intellectual. Why are you acting as though you don't know what I'm talking about?
Because I genuinely don't know what you're talking about. Because when we
Because you're
talk, it doesn't make
so
any sense.
not
Why
an
can't you
intellectual.
deal
That's
with your
why.
wife, Dave?
Jesse, you're so not an
So you don't know her or our relationship whatsoever. So why are you pretending that you do?
You're not answering the question.
No, but you're asking nonsensical questions that
Why
don't merit
can't you deal?
responses.
Why can't you deal with your wife, Dave?
Give me an example of something that happened between us that you think merits that question.
You said that your wife does not. You are not the head of your wife. But that's because you obeyed her. Why is it that you believe that you're not the head of your wife? Why can't you deal with your wife?
I want to give Dave a
Because
chance to
we're
respond.
equal.
I want to give Dave a chance to respond, but I do want to mention there's one more topic, a short topic I was hoping to bring up before Q&A. I'll give you a chance to respond, Dave, but then I want to quick jump into this topic.
Yeah, I mean, there's no response. I mean, you have an agenda of what you want to pretend is reality. You have no basis for it, so you're inferring a bunch of things about my relationship that doesn't exist. So my question in response was, name a thing that happened between me and my wife where you think I didn't stand up to her. You cannot possibly have an answer to that because you do not know her or me or anything about us, which is why everything you're saying is ridiculous.
Just to be sure that we get to go to that next point.
Let's maybe go to the next topic because this is not a fruitful.
You didn't answer our question as to why you could not.
You don't have a question. You don't have a question, Jesse.
I think
Why can't you say that to your wife?
Hold on, gentlemen. One sec. Just to be sure that we get into this next topic, because I think that it will be relevant in terms of earlier we talked about the Obamas. We talked a little bit about politics. And so Donald Trump, we haven't talked about yet. I'm kind of curious if you guys have the same opinion on Trump. I kind of guess not, but we'll hear it from you guys. So, Jesse, Trump or no Trump?
Trump all the way. As a matter of fact, I call Trump, I call the president the Great White Hope. The Great White Hope. The president is the best president. Hold on. The president is the best president that we have ever had in this country. Thank God for the Great White Hope. And he's hated by the children of the lie. And the children of the lie are the liberal media, the Democratic Party, the Neville Trumpers, the right-o Republicans. And the reason they all hate him is because he is a straight, white, conservative, Christian man of power. And those type of men are in the way of the liberals turning America into a socialist society. Thank God for the Great White Hope, and especially now during the Chinese virus issue. If we were in the hands of Crooked Lion Hillary or the fallen Messiah Barack Obama, it would be over with for this country.
Okay, so I mean, I hate him, but I don't really need to elaborate why. I'd like to focus. Yeah, I hate him. I'd like to focus on what you said. You said that liberals in the liberal media hate him because he is a straight, white, conservative Christian man.
Yes,
that's why.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how is that different from almost every president ever?
What does that mean?
Almost every president ever has been a straight, white, conservative Christian man.
But not of power.
What's more powerful than the president of the United States?
Donald Trump. If you know that
he is the president.
If you know
Donald Trump is more powerful than the president of the United States. Is that what you just said?
Dave, I'm not talking.
If you'll add the kind of disabled message, or you want to recover, you need to get your hands on.
I'm not talking about the power. I'm not just talking about the power given to him as president. I'm talking about the power of this man being a man and being white and being straight and being a Christian. Christians are
like every single other president ever, except Obama's half black.
Christians, number one, Christians are hated in America, but there's never been a man that I'm aware of in the White House, such as President Trump. He doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. When you're wrong, you're wrong.
He cons you all the same.
And when he put America first, I don't know of any other president that's put America first. And he fight against his enemy, and he's making America great again. No other president has ever done what the Great White Hope has done today.
Yeah, no other president has ever been the president, is basically what you're trying to say right now. Here, let's get concrete. What is one thing that Trump has done that is good? Let's start there.
Number one, and I hear it all the time. I hope you've heard this. More black people until this Chinese virus thing was employed under President Trump than any other president. The president brought the economy back until the Democrats are trying to screw it up with this phony idea of the Chinese virus being all bad.
Tell me concretely how that statistic is related to something that he did.
The president has brought back more jobs than any other president in the history of America.
How did he do that? How did he do that?
Once again feared.
Are you sure that he did that?
Around the country. Now, Dave, if
so you're just going to steamroll, you don't want to respond to anything?
If you don't have any ideas about those things, I don't know where you've been.
No, I have ideas in terms of reality, and I understand what you're saying, and you're trying to correlate things that don't deserve to be correlated. So you're saying that Trump brought back more jobs, and you're saying that more black people are unemployed.
Where am I wrong?
I think that you're not even saying anything. How did he do that?
Where am I wrong, Dave?
Can you explain why you think that? Why do you think that Trump brought back more jobs? Can you offer any clarity to that statement, or is it just part of your narrative?
If you're not aware of those things, there's nothing I can do to make you see that it's true.
Are you sure that there's nothing you could do? You could do anything whatsoever to explain it. You could do anything at all to explain it. Because it's probably not true.
Can I tell you why not?
Yes, you can.
Because you said you hate the man. And a human being who has hatred in his or her heart cannot be convinced of the truth. So you just have to let
I can't.
Die. You just have to.
Well, you could try.
You hate the president.
You could try.
It doesn't matter what he does, you're still going to hate him.
No, I think that he's a terrible president because of what he does and says and is.
What's your reason for hating him, though?
I think that he is a disgusting, narcissistic, ignorant, extremely unintelligent buffoon that has turned America into the laughingstock of the world. And so everything he says is dumb. Everything he says is wrong.
To hate him?
The things that I just said.
Are you hated for the things you do that you believe that others believe are wrong? Are you hated for that?
Am I?
Yeah.
What are you asking?
Do people hate you when they don't agree with you?
No, it's not disagreement. It's actions. It's the things that he does.
Then you need to come into our world. You're in the wrong. You need to come out of hell into heaven.
I'm not in hell.
Yes, you're in hell. Anyone who has anger is in hell.
It's fine here. I'm doing good.
No, you're not, Dave.
Yeah. Okay, you're not. You're in hell. You're in hell. Yes, you are.
Oh.
Yes, you are. Are you in hell? Are you in hell, Jesse? Come on. Are you? Are you in hell? Yeah, you're in hell, aren't you?
Dave, you don't have a
Are you in hell, Jesse? Are you in hell? Are you in hell? Why don't you answer my question?
See, I told you a beta male.
I'm just turning it back around. No, I don't have hatred in my heart.
You hate the president.
Yeah, for his actions. I don't
just like your
possess
mama.
hatred.
Just like your mama.
I don't know anything about my mom.
Oh,
and by the way, that was really classic. I mean, it was not even a good. It was not even a good way that you started out of that. You can't even respond to what I'm saying here.
Are you able to think of anything that the Great White Hope has done in nearly 4 years that is good for the country?
I can't think of one.
You can't think of one thing.
No, and I don't really keep up on politics as much as other things like science, but I mean, I can't think of one. And I think his handling of COVID has been disastrous, and he is directly responsible. I mean, give me a break. This guy talks. He tells people that they should inject bleach and stuff in it.
That's a lie.
He goes on the news.
That's a lie.
No, it's not.
Dave, you just
lied. About hydroxyquinone. No, I didn't.
Satan is your daddy.
My dad's name is Vittorio.
Victoria Satan. So you just lied, man, with no shame.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Do you
lied
want
when you said the president told someone to inject that into their arm. He never said that.
He said that these detergents or something had remarkable qualities, and we should figure something out with that, like maybe, I don't know, injecting it. That's almost verbatim what he said.
Dave, you're still lying.
It's almost verbatim what he said.
Dave,
you pull up the transcript? Do you want to pull up the transcript?
And I
Do you want to
understand
pull up the
because-
transcript?
Because you, and I told you,
You have a computer right there.
You hate the straight, white, conservative, Christian man of power because you're not able to turn the country into a total socialist society. And
The
he's
poor
in the
straight
way.
white conservative
You're
Christian.
hating
The
him.
poor straight white conservative Christian.
You are hating him because he's in the way. And so it doesn't matter what I say about him.
I'm straight and white.
He does.
I'm enjoying tons of privilege too.
It doesn't matter what he does. You're still gonna hate him.
Well, no, if he became a decent person, I wouldn't hate him any longer. I just don't think he has it in him.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
There's a man who do not believe that God exists. I rest my case.
We
you don't have a case, but sure, rest it.
We want to go into Q&A now just to try to get through as many questions as we can and hopefully wrap up in a quick bit. But Ben Riley, thanks for your super chat. He said, would you please moderate a debate between Vosh and Daniel from Hardlens Media? Well, I will ask Vosh. Great idea. Steven Steen, thanks for your super chat. And Kalub, thanks for your super chat, who said, Dave gets all his info from CNN. Dave, if you want to respond to that, you of course can.
I don't watch CNN. I don't really watch the news. I don't. Like I said, I'm a science-minded person. I'm not passionate about politics. But I mean,
did you support Bernie or Lion Cricket Hillary?
Let me just finish what I was saying there. When I comment on what Trump says and does, I'm not taking in thin. I'm commenting on video footage that I saw, doesn't matter where, Facebook, whatever, of him talking. So he says things. I mean, unless this is a deep fake where somebody is making up a hologram of Trump saying things he didn't say, I'm pretty sure when I see a clip of him saying something, he said those things. And I'm commenting on the things he said. So I'm not, I'm not very politically minded. I'm not a Democrat. I'm definitely not a Republican. I'm disenfranchised by the political system. But I look at Trump and I see a complete moron. And every time he speaks, he embarrasses himself in the country. And that's, mainly what I have to say about it.
Did you support Bernie or Hillary?
I supported Bernie and I did not support Hillary.
I rest my case. You're a socialist. And that's why you hate the president.
Hey, what's socialism?
We have to. So sorry,
What's
gentlemen.
socialism?
I hate to do this, but just to get through as many questions as
I
we
would
can.
love to demonstrate that Jesee does not know what socialism is, but let's go to the next question.
Mothra J. Disco, thanks for your super chat. This one, I think it's for you, Dave. They said gun laws were made up to stop black gun owners. And this is a fact, they say.
Which gun laws? I don't understand.
I'm not sure which ones they mean, to be honest. I've never heard this before.
I mean, look, I'm not an expert on gun law, so I don't know.
Hey, Dave, I want to ask, did the president, the Great White Hope, did he cut taxes and regulations?
See that I do benefit from the slight lowering of business tax rate.
And did he cut regulations as well that would allow businesses, small businesses and others to start opening up without so many restrictions? Did he do that?
I'm not aware of that being the case. And right now,
it's so easy for you to play dumb.
Just to try to get through.
Well, I mean, I don't know things that I don't know. I'm a science person. I don't know much about politics or economics. So, I would rather not go beyond, I'm not going to say something that, unlike you, I'm not going to make up a narrative off the top of my head and just believe it. I need facts, right? I need sources. I need citations. I need data.
Well, when you get back to West Hollywood, West Hollywood, look at Google.
North Hollywood.
North Hollywood. Sorry, North Hollywood. North Hollywood.
But aren't you happy that I just gave you another thing that I agreed with you about? I told you one thing that I liked that Trump did. So you're right. I did think of one thing that Trump did that I liked.
Amazing.
Amazing, right?
And Mark Hidalgo, thank you for your super chat. Who said, Jesee Lee Peterson's source is the Washington Examiner.
That's not true. I never read Washington Examiner.
Gotcha. Terry James, thanks for your super chat as well. Said, for Jesee, what would you have done if you were in the 1830s and a slave at that time? Would you have repelled, tried to escape, or complied?
If I was in the 1830s?
And a slave at that time.
That's a dumb question. I wasn't in the 1830s. I have no idea what I would have done. I would have to be there in order to know what I would have done. I wasn't there, so I have no idea.
Gotcha. Stephen C, thanks for your super chat, says, James's shoulder pads are lesbian. Okay, gotcha. Serious Startups, thanks for your super chat. Who said Dave? He said Dave. It's well-known data in that it's well-known data on 70% or more being born to single moms.
Black babies.
Okay, and then said, let's Google it. I just did.
All right, what's the citation?
Gotcha.
I was asking Jesee to offer the citation. If he had offered one, then that'd be something.
Let's see.
I mean, I think we can go and count how many times Jesee made unsubstantiated claims in this entire discussion, and it would be through the roof. And I would bet my life savings that they can't all be verified by data.
You will see it. Look it up tonight.
Well, we do have a
super
chat relevant. We have one that's relevant. I heard my interruption, but Excalibur, thanks for your super chat, who said 77% of blacks were born out of wedlock in 2015. Dave, you, in all caps, need to Google it. You also need to, let's see, they said you did not prove that Jesee lies. Sad. So we'll give you a chance to respond to that, Dave.
No, I will respond to that. So, of those born out of wedlock, how many were born to single mothers?
Gotcha.
That's not part of the statistic, is it? So what if black people just disproportionately choose not to marry? How about that? How about if the majority of that 77% are born in a nuclear family, they just aren't married?
Gotcha.
So is that part of the statistic?
Gotcha.
I don't think so.
Amazing.
So maybe you should dig a little deeper with your searches.
Gotcha.
You are a real intellectual and a socialist.
I want to give Dave.
What is socialism? In a sentence, what is socialism, Jesee? Can you tell me?
Dave.
You can even Google it if you want.
I said Dave.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, next up. Uganda, not Wakanda. Thanks for super chat. They said that beta male Dave is using studies as a way to shut down discussion. And they said, do you have a study saying studies are the only way to know something?
Wow, isn't that a fun little meta thing there? What I'm saying is that you can make up anything you want, and it's not necessarily true. So, yes.
Dave, how do you know studies are right?
Because they study things. What do you mean, how do I know studies are right?
But Dave, there's so many studies out there now that are built on ego or made on ego. People, when they want to control you, they can make up any kind of studies they want.
You ever seen a broken bone heal instantly? How real healers create rapid shifts. I'm Jerry Sargent, the founder of Star Magic Healing. I've traveled the world and trained thousands of men, women, and children just like you to heal with the Star Magic frequency. One thing that I've come to realize is that everyone can do it. I'm no different from you. I'm no different from any other human being on this planet. Right now on Earth, there is no better career opportunity than starting an online distance healing business. You open yourself up to an international client base, an energy speaks volumes in every language. Our training experiences are 5 days, plus 2 free bonus days. We run them online, making it accessible for everyone. With Star Magic, you are going to truly understand how to get fast and effective results with your healing. I will personally train you and show you how to heal broken bones, remove life-threatening illnesses and disease, heal fibromyalgia, help people tap into their abundance frequencies so they can manifest the reality that they want and so rightly deserve. You will be shown how to help people live incredible lives with beautiful relationships, with thriving businesses. Everything is possible. Once you finish the training, we have a dedicated support team. They will guide you. They will assist you. They will nurture you as you either further your Star Magic career or go out into the world and start your very own healing business. Either way, we are there to support you. We have your back. We also have an academy. If you want to go out and train people in star magic, just like I do, and other master facilitators, then you can work your way through the academy. There are so many options. Go to starmagichealing.com, download our training prospectus, and fully understand the opportunity and realize why the very best healers are all turning to star magic.
Welcome to University Canada West. If you're trying to pick a specific specialize in, the Associate of Arts degree at UCW is an excellent way of continuing to learn and gain a qualification that can help you decide the next stage of your career. Our campus is located in downtown Vancouver, a city that welcomes students from all over Canada and the world. The Associate of Arts degree is a 2-year undergraduate program designed to provide you with a broad foundation of knowledge. The 60-credit program prepares you for additional post-secondary education or to directly enter the workforce. The AA degree is accepted for transfer into bachelor degree programs at University Canada West and all degree-granting institutions in British Columbia. So whether you're still deciding which business field to go into or want general skills that can set you on the right career path, the Associate of Arts degree can provide you with a host of career options.
Remember what?
Well, okay. Number one, that's not completely true. But number two, yes, if you find one study that supports what you're saying, that's only one piece of evidence. You should find a lot of evidence. You should look at many studies. So I agree that finding one study does not necessarily corroborate what you're saying. But if you have 0 studies, then what's the difference between making it up off the top of your head?
Remember when the
what's the
president
difference?
first?
I can make up anything I want and say anything I want. And it's
When the president first ran for president, and all the studies, especially from the liberal socialist people, were saying that the president's going to lose, Hillary Clinton's going to win, he's out of there.
those are
They all
polls.
lied.
Those are
So they were
polls.
making up these studies and polls and saying
Polls that are attempting to predict the future is not the same as studies that report actual data.
In order to deceive
sorry guys, just to be sure that
Jesse,
we don't
do
go
you not know the
too, just to be
difference
sure that we
between a
don't go
poll
too
and a
far
study?
down the rabbit hole. Mothra J Disco, finally one for Jesse, giving you some pushback, Jesse. They said Jesse's arguments are legit defeated by basic U.S. history. That's all they said.
That doesn't matter. Did they complete the question?
That was all that they had charged you with.
Well, one thing I can say to that statement is, or question or whatever it was, is that history today is not true history, because there's a false history out there that says that under the Jim Crow law, black people were doing awful. It was worse than slavery. That wasn't true. I grew up under the Jim Crow laws. My family bought land. They educated themselves. They had families. They got married. They taught their children how to work and take care of themselves. None of the children grew up on drugs and alcohol and out of it in their minds, because they relied on their families and what was right. But the history gives you the impression, which is a false impression, that black people were controlled by Jim Crow laws and was worse than slavery and blacks couldn't move around, which is absolutely not true.
Gotcha.
So segregation isn't real? Are you saying that segregation isn't real? Or was not real?
Yes, segregation did happen, but it did not hurt the blacks personally, because they, rather than
not having access to schools and
I gotta give Jesse the last one this one just because it's super chat's in.
They bought their own land, they created their own life. They weren't blaming anyone.
Gotcha. Nature Boy Elfie, thanks for your super chat. And this is one thing I'm going to try to do. If I haven't done it consistently, forgive me. There's a lot's flying through my mind on it. Everything's moving fast. I'm going to try to let the person who the super chat was aimed at have the last word. Nature Boy Elfie, thanks for your super chat. This one, Dave, you might be able to. There's a chance where we could ask if you would grant any of Jesse's idea or position. Nature Boy Elfie says in all caps, ask Dave if he has forgiven his mama.
Yeah, see, so this is very transparent. I mean, you guys, Jesse, whoever the person is that you're talking about, need for me so badly to be wrong but you are unable to deconstruct anything that I say. So you have to make things up about my mother and this kind of stuff. You have no idea who she is. You don't know anything about her, our relationship. So it's not a legitimate question. I mean, why? It's very transparent that you just are so triggered by what I'm saying that you have to invent something about me to take me down a notch. But it doesn't work.
Just to give,
I don't know anything about her, so
just to get Dave the last one, we'll go to the next one. Hey, thanks for your super chat. Said great stream. You got a critic here, Dave. It said Dave's a bit sassy and arrogant.
Yeah, well, sure.
Amazing.
So,
Next up,
So what?
Beckel, thanks for your super chat. Said Jesee, say out loud, Beta, Beta man. Gotcha. Agent Black, thanks for your Agent Black says great debate. That's all credit to the speakers. Thanks so much. Mike Young, thanks for your super chat. Let's see. A lot of these are kind of more just attacks. I don't want to be too hard on either person. Uganda, not Wakanda, thanks for your super chat. Said Dave has, let's see. They said Dave thinks that morality comes from him knowing pointless theories and having the right, quote, opinion instead of his own character.
Well, okay. So I don't know what pointless theories you're referring to. That sounds like a pretty science illiterate statement. But I don't believe in God, yet I am moral. So I don't really know what to tell you.
If you're a moral man, how can you hate the president? More people don't hate him.
Why is it immoral to hate? Why is a sentiment
because it's of your father. Satan is your dad, and there's no love and hate.
Okay, so do you want to actually have a conversation, or do you want to just make up ridiculous statements?
So you think your dad and Satan has love?
You do have to give Dave the last
My dad and Satan have love?
No, your daddy has Satan. You think there's love in him?
So do you want to talk about morality, or do you want to make up things about Satan and my father?
Well, we don't
talk about morality.
Satan as your father, not Satan and your father. Satan is your daddy.
So you want me to ask my father if he...
Whether you know it or not, you either serve God or you serve Satan. You're not on your own.
Whether you know it or not, God isn't real. How about that? I can just say that too. There's nothing substantial about what you're saying. You're just taking your religious beliefs and you're putting it on me. I can do the same. God isn't real. I can state that as a fact if I want. I don't do that because I'm not a ridiculous person, but I can tell you God doesn't exist whether you like it or not. And just let you simmer in
I believe that you believe that Satan is your daddy, so you can't believe in but one God, and Satan is yours.
Okay, so but none of that's real. Remember what I just said? And my
reality. Real.
So my reality is real. So, but the problem for you, the problem for you is that myself and many, many thousands of other people are not religious and yet are moral. Morality does not come from religion, period. There's no two ways about it.
I wish we could keep going on this one, but we do have another one. Uganda, not Wakanda, thanks for your super chat. It said, Dave, if women give love, why do they hate needy guys? Mothers are overbearing because of the ego. Egoless love comes from men. Dave.
That's a good point.
Sorry, give me that one. Can I get that one more time?
You bet. It's a mouthful. They said, Dave, if women give love, why do they hate needy guys? Like needy or clingy. And they said, mothers are overbearing because of the ego. Egoless love comes from men, Dave.
Egoless, well, okay, I would not agree that egoless love comes from men. I would maybe agree that women are not that wild about needy guys. But I don't know. I think that's probably like a biological thing. I think that perhaps it's just part of our evolutionary ancestry that there's some thread in the lizard brain that just, a man is, originally thousands of years ago was the provider and was the hunter and was such and such. Now, evolutionary psychology is very complicated, and sexuality is all evolutionary psychology. And I'm not an expert in that, but I think it has something to do with that. But the egoless love thing, I don't understand what they're talking about with that.
Dave, what is a man?
A man is an adult human with an X and Y chromosome, one of each, and male external genitalia. That's what a man is.
Are men and women the same?
We've got, and after this one, we've got.
No, they're not the same.
Okay, thanks so much. Kate, thanks for your super chat, who said, single mothers, quote, bring love, raises criminals. I think that's going back to the fatherless statistic that came up earlier.
Okay. Who was that directed towards? To me?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So that sounds like a really fun story. But to that I would say, Jada!
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Tio,
Can I ask Dave one quick question?
Sure.
Yeah.
Dave, earlier you said that you implied that there's a difference between born out of wedlock and single mothers. What is the difference?
The difference is that there would be two parents.
You said that.
Is that a real question? What do you mean?
You said something, and it went kind of fast, but you said something about single mothers and born out of wedlock. So women who are having children and not married, are they having them out of wedlock?
Yes, but there's still two parents. They're still co-parenting a child. So this statistic is not reliable. What if it is simply the person they had the baby with? They just didn't get married. I know tons of people that have babies that aren't married to each other, and they're just like everyone else. They're just not married. Yes, they are. I'm telling you, I know, Jesse, and they're not married, and yet you wouldn't know. It's just that they don't have a little thing right here, but everything else is the same. So what if Black people just disproportionately don't get married, but they still co-parent the child? I don't know. All I'm saying is that the statistic is not enough to drive this ridiculous conclusion.
It's not a family.
Yes, it is.
A man
yes,
and
it
a
is.
woman are married.
Yes, it is. A man and woman that have a child together and all live together are a family. A man and a man.
No. That's
we can say all the other stuff too.
That's a gospel child out of wedlock.
Nope. Well, I don't know what this word is. Who cares about that? A man and a woman and other stuff that have a child together and all live together are a family, period. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
We must be married.
No, you're wrong.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to we'll go to the next one. Tioga, thanks for your super chat, who said the only beta here is James, obviously. She's sassy. That's why we like her. Next up, nobody. Let's see. We've got Dirk is in. Let's see. Some of these are just insults. Okay. A lot of these are just insults. Next up, William Perry. I don't know which way he's directing it. But they say, this is my nightmare. I don't understand. Michael McCaffrey, thanks for your super chat, said, let's see. So like I said, some of these they're quite hard on the speakers. Caleb, thanks for your super chat. Said, oh, I appreciate this. I'll pay you back for this later. He said, when I grow up, I want to be an alpha like James. Thanks so much, Caleb. We'll pretend that was real. And next up, thanks for your super chat, who said, from our dear friend Fred, said, Jesee sees complicated subjects in black and white when there are many more shades of gray.
No gray area. It's only black or white. It's only right or wrong. There's no gray area at all. Is it right or is it wrong? No middle ground.
Gotcha. Thanks so much.
Wrong.
Snake was right. Appreciate your super chat. It said Trump was talking about nebulized hydrogen peroxide. I think that's regarding, my only guess is I've never heard this before, but I think it's regarding the idea that Trump told people to ingest something that kills germs. I can't remember the word.
Liberals don't mind lying on the president.
Let's just put it this way: without baseless things regarding medical is saying, keep it general. Like that.
Amazing.
Yeah, pretty amazing, right? This is the guy that he's your guy, and yet he says this stuff.
Hope.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
I hear you say one time, Dave, the great white hope.
No, I don't want to say that.
Come on, Dave.
God,
why would I don't tell you what to say. You can say whatever you want.
Why
don't you say data?
Next one.
Data.
Lily.
No. I said data.
Lily R.O., thanks for your super chat. I think this is a criticism towards you, Jesee. I think that they say, Jesee, Proverbs 16:5 says, everyone who is arrogant in heart is an abomination to the Lord. I don't know if they're saying that you're arrogant or if they're saying that they're agreeing, like if they think that Dave is arrogant. I don't know what's going on here.
I think they're referring to Dave.
Probably. That sounds like it's directed at me.
Gotcha. Okay. Ben Riley, thanks for your super chat, said, don't forget about Vosh and Daniel. Okay, we'll definitely ask. Okay, Spacebar Apologetics, thanks for your super chat. Said, thanks for the debate, James. All credit to the speakers. These guys, this has honestly been one of the more engaging discussions. I think maybe the most we've ever had. And they said, what do you think, Dave, Jesee, what do you think Dave should do to move forward?
He needs to overcome his mother by forgiving her for traumatizing him and return to his father, and his whole world will start to change. But as long as he has his mother identity and can't be honest about it, he's not going to get better.
Now, if you were my therapist and I had told you anything whatsoever about my parents and my childhood, then I'd listen to you. But you aren't, and I didn't, so everything you're saying is meaningless.
Oh, no, you're going to smoke on this day because you know right. Did you grow up close to your father?
I mean, I lived with both of my parents and we were close.
Did you grow up close to your father?
Close to my father? Yes.
You're not being honest. Everybody.
Why? Because I'm not giving you the answer that you want?
Everybody.
Because I don't fit into the narrative that you're trying to push?
But
everybody can see online how? Are you an expert on facial expressions in line?
Then you got to get to know himself.
How do you know I'm lying?
Overcome his mother, return to his father.
Oh,
okay.
You have to go to the next one.
Expert opinion there.
They said, Jesee, will you define socialism? Billy wrote.
Thank you.
The liberal media, the Democratic Party, the Rhino Republicans, the Never Trumper, Dave.
It's a form of government, Jesee.
Define
it in the context of a form of government.
People that want to take over your life and control you for power and wealth.
Gotcha.
You don't know what socialism is? Thanks for demonstrating that.
Let's see. Excalibur, thanks for your super chat, said, actually, Dave, you need to Google the statistics said single mothers. Do your homework. You sound like, the ultimate of insults, Dave. They're coming at you. Your old nemesis. They said, you sound like Kent Hovind. Okay.
No.
They're taking the gloves off. We'll let
now,
give you a chance
now I'm insulted because that really is the worst thing that you could say to me. So, okay. Well, look, I didn't look at the statistic, but it doesn't really matter anyway, right? Because it was a false supposition. He's trying to imply that children born out of wedlock or to single parents or something. He was saying something about them being addicted to drugs and doing crime and all these things. And so it doesn't matter if the statistic is true or not. The supposition that he was using to base something on is ridiculous. So
amazing.
I was just implying that everything he says is wrong. So, if one statistic was good, fine. I don't care.
Next up, live a life filled with love. Thanks for your super chat. Said, great job, Jesee. And they so you got a fan out there, Jesee. That Snake was right. Thanks for your super chat. Who said Christians are beta for God? How about that? I think that's an objection to you, Jesee, saying that Christians are betas for God.
Well, I understand that atheists, not all, but most of them understand it, so I can't blame them for thinking that way. But until he return to the Father, to his natural state of being, he's not going to understand what true love and true power is. He got to return to the Father. So I understand it. It's not personal.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. D. Watts, this is a nice one. Thanks for your super chat. They said $10 each for two of my favorite people on YouTube. Thank you, Jesee and Dave.
Amazing.
There's somebody that watches both of our channels. That's astonishing.
Right on.
Let's see. Fred, thanks for your super chat. Said, I love Jesee, but he was outclassed here. And they said, thank you guys still, though. So, Jesee, they're throwing some heat at you.
Well, one thing I can say is right. I have no class. I'm just Jesee. I love what's right. I love my country. I love the order of God in Christ. Christ is man, man over woman, woman over children. I'm just Jesee with no class.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Stripper Liquor for your super chat, who said, Jesee, please come back on again. Best debate ever.
I will. Thank you.
Then let's see. Decepticons Forever. Thanks for your super chat. Let's see. I don't know what that means. Some of these, I don't know if it's an inside joke meant to insult one of the speakers or not. So I'm trying to skip. Fred, thanks for your super chat. Said, let's see. Oh, we read that one. Let me just check for any last ones. Otherwise, I think we'll be able to wrap up. We really do appreciate it, folks. And then we do have, these are always my favorite. whenever people offer a debate challenge. So Maynard Saves, thanks to your super chat, said, would Jesee be willing to debate Kyle Kulinski on modern day debate?
I would debate everybody and their mama. I don't run. I run toward the pain, not away from it.
Gotcha. Thanks. So we'll ask Kyle. We'll try to get a hold of him. Stripper Liquor, thanks. We got that one. Thanks for your patience, guys. Kind of sitting through. The Sphere itself, aka said, James, can you please save a little sexiness for the rest of us? That's funny. I always say, I think this is probably Earl, the 65-year-old postman from Alabama. I appreciate that. They said, Excalibur, thanks for your super chat, who said Trump was talking about internal catheter UV light that is FDA approved to reduce lung viral load and O3 infusion in the body. Google it, Dave, in all caps.
No, he used the word injection.
Dave hates Trump, so he's never going to be honest about the man. But, you know, I hate the
I know what he said. I saw the clip. He said he used the word injection.
Hey, James. Yep. I'm so sorry, but my time is up. I got another appointment. They're rushing me.
Okay.
But so I have to run. I wish I didn't, but I will come back if you're happy.
Totally. That's no problem. We'll wrap up then. We want to say thanks so much, folks. Sorry if we didn't get to your question, but hopefully we'll get to have these guys on again. Who knows who it'll be against. It's been a true pleasure, guys. Want to let everybody know these guys' links, I put them in the description. So if you want to hear more of these guys, you can by clicking those links. So thanks so much, folks, for being with us. And thanks especially to Jesee and Dave.
Thank you too, James. And Dave, it was good to meet you, man. I enjoyed that.
Good to meet you as well. I think I had fun. Yeah.
Yeah, stop being a beta.
Get some data.
Very nice. Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks so much. Data.
Yeah, it's okay.